Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Midday Wednesday, temperatures upper 70s, highs today in the middle 80s with increasing clouds. We'll see some showers returning overnight. Thursday morning's commute could be a little messy at times with a low flood risk as well. That's why Thursday's a WRAL Weather Alert Day. I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 3 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones down 8 points to 42,511. The drive is also brought to you by Deep River Sporting Clays and Shooting School. Deep River Sporting Clays and Shooting School is calling shooters of all levels for Mission Unstoppable. Stop the clay invasion and shoot them damn things down. Learn more at deepriversportingclays.com.
Bryce in the pocket, steps up, eludes the rush, throws, end zone, caught, Adam Thielen, touchdown!
He'll toss it that way to Hampton, and he is in. Touchdown, Carolina.
Bailey, shotgun, snap left passes, QB keeper, dives forward, touchdown. Bailey is third of the night.
Cooper faces up with 5 and 4, drives Davis, spins, waiting, fades away, and hits! Game over! Series over! Sebastian!
The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan on a Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. I'm Tim Donnelly. Max Gorin is producing the show today, pinch hitting for Dennis, so he'll be along for the ride. Speaking of along for the ride, hey, North Carolina basketball, can I hold some? Can I hold a little cash? Got a little bit? You got a lot laying around. UNC basketball. Is it the thriller movie where you walk in with the suitcase full of cash and you just open it up and everybody's jaw drops? Because it feels like that's what's being reported was given to Hubert Davis for this year's UNC basketball team. Greg Barnes, Inside Carolina, put together an article. And the article has numbers. And that is what I have been chasing. Right? Everyone I talk to in the college basketball world, in the college sports world, football, basketball, whatever, the thing I want to see are numbers, right? Because you hear coaches going, the amount that these recruits are asking for is astronomical. It's crazy. It's outlandish. And I'm like, well, what are they asking for? I'm not going to name numbers. We're giving one of our starters, we're taking care of them. We're paying fair market price. I'm like, well, how much are you paying? They won't give numbers. Greg Barnes, Inside Carolina. I'll read directly from the article. Multiple sources have confirmed that UNC has surpassed the $14 million mark in its financial commitment to the 2025-2026 roster, approximately triple what was spent on the roster a year ago. The article, a separate part, men's basketball executive director and general manager Jim Tanner's $850,000 salary represents another bullet point in confirming the university's support of its prize program. Whoa! $14 million committed to this year's basketball roster. Now, again, we don't have numbers for everybody, but Jeff Goodman of the Field of 68 put this out. According to the report from Inside Carolina, UNC's payroll will be more than $14 million. Goodman says that would put the Tar Heels in the top 5 among men's basketball programs for this season, and maybe even as high as number 2 behind Kentucky, which is somewhere in the $20 million range. Even if they're wrong, as long as they're not grotesquely wrong, right? If you're saying their top 5 might be top 2, if they're top 15, this is the ultimate no excuse year for Hubert Davis. This is the ultimate no excuse year for the brain trust that is running UNC basketball right now. Because I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I see one of a roster for UNC right now that makes sense as a top 5 highest priced roster in the entire country.
Right.
Kyan Evans, Jonathan Powell, Jaron Stevenson. They brought in some dudes. Caleb Williams, one of the top freshmen. I'm sure he wasn't cheap. Henry Vasar from Arizona, one of the top big guys. I'm not saying this is a cheap roster, but I don't see top 5. And if you have money spent to top 5 money, you should have roster ability to top 5 ability. That's how markets work, right? Pretend like I know how economics works, right? It just seems like if you spend, I'll use a example from my grandpa. If my grandpa got sent to the store by my grandma to get something, guess what he was getting? One step below the most expensive, because he figured the most expensive had to be they're trying to rob you, right? That's a joke. But the next most expensive, that's got to be good, right?
You're still getting some quality with the second best.
Exactly. They're not trying to gyp me, but I don't want to come back with something bad. And that's just what he did, right? That's just what he did. So same is kind of true here, right? If you're in the top 5 spending, you should have top 5 quality. You get $14 million to spend. You better put together a roster that doesn't come with excuses. You better put together a roster that wins. You better put together a roster that fits your system perfectly. Because let's be real, it doesn't matter if I don't see $14 million worth of value on that roster if Hubert Davis does, and if that coaching staff and that front office does. Because they're the ones that have to go win with it. It's a results-based business. But there's this common timeline or sequence of events, might be the better way to put it, that we see in college basketball, that we see in college football. Coach gets a job, wins, loses, has some amount of success, whatever. But is the coach long enough that there's relationships there, that you feel like you trust them, right? It's not a hired and fired within 24 months situation. If you're around for a little bit, people get to know you. And then when you lose your job, one of the first things they say is they hint in some podcast, or they hint at their exit interview, or they hint in a athletic article. They hint that they were not given the resources that they needed to compete in modern college basketball. You start hearing about how the teams that they see as peers were spending more in NIL, and they couldn't go get the players they wanted because they couldn't afford them. And every time they walked into a recruit's room, they would start talking and they'd build the rapport, and then they'd get to numbers and they'd go, good luck to you, and they'd have to walk out. You'd hear that until someone else takes the job and they either do or don't, have the amount of success. This feels like UNC looking at Hubert and Jim Tanner and everybody else involved and Sean May, everyone else involved in their coaching staff, and saying, You can't say any of that. Because if I look at last year's team, right, they're saying they tripled the amount of money they spent. I bet you RJ Davis would have been pretty darn excited. He was the returning ACC Player of the Year. Now, whether he's worth it or not, that kind of recognition should come with a price tag. At least it seems like it would. So where's that player? Right, I know you hate to be compared to your crosstown rivals. When State appears to be spending a lot more money than they've spent in the past, they get Darian Williams, one of the top 5 incoming transfers in the entire recruiting class, and that's across like everybody. Like if you look at top 100 recruits from this cycle in transfers, he was one of the top 5.
Yeah, I mean he was a huge impact player, and they went to, I believe, the Elite 8 last year.
At Texas Tech, it was him and it was Toppin as their 2 main dudes. So where's that? Where's that? Jeff Goodman, who appears to be as connected as anyone in the NIL world, like tracking it, literally said they might be the number 2 most expensive roster in the country. And on top of that, you're UNC. I don't think, and this was a problem with the ACC, and I've talked about it before, but when the Atlantic Coast Conference was coming into the NIL world, I think they overestimated how much their cool factor was worth. Okay? They thought, yeah, sure, Other teams, the SEC, the West Coast, they're going to have to spend on NIL, but we can sell them on how much money they'll make in brand by coming to play for this school, or how much money they'll make by us putting in the NBA. And it turns out it wasn't true. Players needed bottom dollar in addition to that. But I do believe it's a great tiebreaker, right? If you have two offers from two schools and they're close, one's for $400,000, one's for $430,000, right? It's close. Then you do get into, where's my brand going to grow the most? Where is the alumni network going to help me the most? Where is going to put me higher in the NBA draft? And if UNC can't say, well, you get Jordan, right? You get all the brand, cool, all of that comes with it. You have a alumni base of NBA players. You have the television, right? Like everything that comes with being at UNC, and $14 million. That should be a multiplier. Shout out to Greg Barnes of Inside Carolina. If he is right on $14 million, north of $14 million being the value of this year's roster, I mean, with that, you ready for one of my favorite? I don't know if you've heard it, Max. This is one of my favorite sayings.
Hit me.
With great money comes great responsibility. When it's half Spider-Man, half capitalist. With great money comes great responsibility. If you give a coach $14 million to put together a roster and the roster is not stellar at the end of the year, you look at that coach and you go, I don't know if I'm ready to give you $14 million again. Right? This goes back to like small kid time, right? When you're a little kid and you run up and you ask your mom or your dad for some money and they give you some money, and then you run back up later that day and ask for more money. What do they say? Where's the $5 I gave you earlier? If you give a coach $14 million and they come back the next year and say, hey, I need another $14, $15 million. Hey, what'd you spend the last 14 on? You better have a trophy. You better have something worth. You better have a long run into the NCAA tournament, because if not, I'm not giving you more money. Just so you can go waste it on Airheads at the snack bar again. Wait, that was a flashback. You better win with $14 million is what I'm saying. You better win with $14 million. If the reporting from Inside Carolina is correct.
Just to provide a little bit of context, this is an article from CBS Sports' Matt Norlander from April. There are 8 teams or so that are around that $10 million mark for their rosters. Alongside North Carolina, there's Duke, Arkansas, BYU, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisville, Michigan, St. John's, and Texas Tech. So these programs either have $10 million committed already as of April, or will easily be capable of reaching that total. Obviously, those teams have added on since then, but that just gives you a context of the teams that they are kind of grouped in with when you give that level of investment.
And some of those teams have like legit crown jewels.
Yeah, some of those teams,
like a top, and we mentioned at Texas Tech was reportedly
AJ Devanza going to BYU.
Yep. BYU. Some reports have him as high as $7 million. I don't know if I believe that. Ironically, Ian Jackson going to St. John's probably was a pretty penny, and UNC was where he left.
But when you look at that group, you know, how much do you like North Carolina's roster versus that of Duke or Arkansas or Louisville, who hit the transfer portal really big early in the cycle?
Louisville might be the best example. I don't know if Louisville or UNC is going to be better in the ACC this year. I know Louisville will start ranked higher in the ACC. But what Louisville did feels like you spent the money and got something in return, right? They spent a bunch of money. Don't get me wrong. New coach last year, rebuilt everything. They obviously went big game hunting, and they brought in, I mean, especially they've dropped a bit in the rankings, but at the time when those commitments came into Louisville, it was like second best guard, best point guard, best shooter in the portal. They just reeled them in. It felt tangible. UNC is like, oh, that's good value. Oh, that's nice. Okay, they found like I like Jaren Stevenson. I think he has the potential to be a star coming back home to Carolina, meaning to North Carolina where he played a lot of his youth ball. But that's kind of like he hasn't quite lived up to it yet. They probably got a deal on him is how I took it. If the $14 million is spent, if you're not getting a deal on him, he better be good. Vasar from Arizona, like, that's a nice rim protector. You can do some things offensively. I like it. Big dude, right? 7-footer. They need that. But if you spent $3 million on him, and I don't know how much individually they spent on him, the expectation is going to be a lot higher than like, oh, that's a nice piece. You might have to be all ACC to make it work. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. $14 million, jaw dropped. But coming up, we have a little Canes offseason talk where I tell you it is okay to want a goal scorer, even if you're the Canes. Stick around.
Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Law Tigers. Folks, I love the weather that we have going on right now. I love getting on the motorcycle and just cruising around, but I have to make sure I do everything necessary to make sure I'm safe before I even get on the motorcycle. Make sure that my bike is in proper working order. Make sure the tire pressure is good. One thing you can do to take care of your bike, wash it, clean it, take care of your bike, and your bike will take care of you. You don't want a bunch of gunk and things all built up in the engine. Take care of your motorcycle. But if you're injured in a motorcycle accident, make sure you contact Law Tigers at 1-800-LAW-TIGERS even before you get in touch with the insurance company. Insurance companies, they want to give you the least amount possible. Law Tigers, they're riders too. They know what you're going through after an accident. They know what your bike and your gear are worth. That's why your case evaluation is always free, and they don't get paid a dime until your case settles. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Champions are crowned on 99.9 The Fan.
It's 3 consecutive Eastern Conference championships for the Florida Panthers.
Hockey tonight. Florida, Edmonton in the Stanley Cup Final. Game 1.
McDavid scores!
Puck drop at 8.
Nico Mikkola gets the cash and Florida's off and running.
On your audio home for the Stanley Cup Final. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Let's move. We have soccer practice, dance, and a play date.
Life moves fast, so every second counts, especially when it comes to big decisions like buying a car. That's why searching through Navy Federal's car buying service powered by TrueCar is a perfect place to start.
Thanks, Mom.
Navy Federal can help you find and finance the right vehicle so you can go wherever life takes you. Visit NavyFederal.org/TrueCar to learn more. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA. Credit and collateral subject to approval.
Total Wireless is made to totally keep up with you. We have unlimited data that never slows you down, covered by the Verizon 5G network, and all for less than $30 a month when you get 4 lines. And the best part, we give you a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G when you switch to the 5G Unlimited or 5G Plus Unlimited plan. Visit your local Total Wireless store today. Total Wireless, we're totally with you. Actual speeds may vary by location. For data management practices, see TotalWireless.com.
Green flag of Michigan International Speedway.
It's madness in Motor City as NASCAR in Prime heads to Michigan International Speedway. 200 miles per hour feels even faster than it sounds. These white-knuckle, 3-wide thrills bring us one of the fastest tracks in the Cup Series. So strap in and stream Michigan Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. NASCAR, it's on Prime.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes Dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned, Cajun-fried, whole breast tenderloin fillets, choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
Do you have a wedding anniversary coming up? Don't just mark the day. Make it unforgettable with Bailey's Fine Jewelry. Shop their exquisite selection of designer jewelry or consider upgrading your original engagement ring with the diamond she really deserves. Whether this is the 1st or 31st anniversary, celebrate your love with something special, wrapped in a black and white striped box from Bailey's. Voted best jeweler from the Triangle to the Coast. Every woman wants a Bailey box. Visit us today in store or at baileybox.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
As the Canes will keep it in deep. Florida looking to get it out. Forsling bounce it. Now it comes out in front. Holding shoot. He scores! Seth Jarvis with the turnover. And Carolina has tied it at 3.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It took about, I'd say, 48 hours. Maybe not even, 46 hours. After the Canes were eliminated from the Eastern Conference Finals, for the offseason wheels to start cranking. And what I mean by that is trade scenarios being thrown out there, free agent targets being established. It took not that long. And I think that is maybe the best way to show that this year's Canes team was in a retool. Right? When you're all in, you mourn the season. Right? When a team is all in to go win, the fans, they mourn the elimination. Go ask what Dallas is doing right now. They don't want to entertain the possibility of what their offseason might look like.
Oh yeah, they got like 8 forwards signed for next year with $5 million in cap space.
They're mourning their season. The Canes, their fans immediately went to like, all right, we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but look, we can do this and we can do that, and we can send this player here and we can send this pick here, and they're going to give us this, and this team needs to get under the cap, so they're going to send us this great player, and woo, look at this, we have an all-star team. That shows that it was a retooling year. But I've already seen a switch right after the season, right? Because we're only like a week out. I mean, if that feels like the wound is fresh. Right after it, everybody was well aware. Top end goal scorer. We need a sniper. We need a 45 goal scorer. We need a goal scorer. And then, for some reason, the correction went to, well, actually, we need a guy that fits in with the Canes. You need somebody that's going to be a hard-nosed, two-way player. You need somebody that's going to fit in with what Rod asks you to do and wants to do. You got to be able to kill penalties and then we get to the point where you're like, actually, just 2 or 3 well-placed vets. And I'm going like, no. You were right the first time. And it is okay to say the Canes need a top-end goal scorer. And it's okay to say, if you're going to employ Aho and Jarvis and Stahl, who were all, top 11 in the Selke? Selke, the trophy that goes to the most defensive or the best defensive forward. If you're going to employ all of those guys, you have room on the roster for one, for lack of a better term, ball hog. Right? Yeah, puck hog, I guess. Ice hog might be the better way. One.
Well, Stormy's an ice hog.
That's true. Well, you got, okay, two ice hogs. You can have Stormy and you can have one more who's just the black hole. When you pass it to him, he's shooting, and he's going to shoot a high percentage. So we had the exit interviews with Rod Brindamore and Eric Tulsky earlier this week, and they both talked about that top-end scorer ideal that was being brought up. Here's Rod Brindamore on the team trying to go for a top-end scorer.
Everybody would love to have him, and, of course. And I think you look at, you mentioned all those names. We've been going out. If they're out there, Eric's trying to get them. And I think everybody appreciates that. I think the room does. Having said that, if it doesn't, we feel really good about our group. So what he mentioned earlier, if there's a better option out there to make us better, he's trying to get it. So that's what that tells me.
Everybody wants the score. They spoke in generalities. They spoke vaguely, as they should. You don't want to tip your hand too much. Eric Tulsky was asked about a similar deal about going out and trying to get and keep top-end players.
I prickle a little at the idea that it was a suggestion we needed something like
Until we have all the best players in the league, we're going to keep trying to add. And it doesn't matter how many goal scorers we have. If there's a premium goal scorer out there who we can get, we're going to try and bring him in. I don't think Tampa or Dallas was looking at their team saying we really need a goal scorer. It's just you've got great players who you can bring in, you do it. And we're going to keep taking those swings every time we can.
They were vague. They were loose with it. I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence that the year the Canes won their cup, Eric Staal had 45 goals and 100 points. Right? Most goals in a single season for a player since they came to Carolina happens to also be the year where they won the whole darn thing. I don't think that's a coincidence, and I don't think it's bad to say, and I don't think it's bad to desire. And by the way, I think Eric Tulsky and Rod Brindamore know it. That's why Jake Gensel and Mikko Rantanen were traded for in each of the last 2 years. They didn't make deadline, like, oh, we go after all the best players. Well, you didn't make deadline deals for lockdown defensemen because you knew you didn't need that. You had them. You didn't make a deadline deal for even a goalie or a grinding center or any of these things that might others have wanted. You made it for the guys that were known playoff scorers. They need goal scorers. And if you get one that can put up 400 shots and score 46 goals and go break Stahl's record, that might be, I don't pretend to be an expert enough to say it probably will be, but it might be the thing that puts you over the top to go win a cup. You've been knocking on the door for a while now. We'll take a break. When we come back. Not just the problems guy, solutions guy. We look at the options. What players might be out there and who would I go after and why? Coming up next.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update sponsored by Prevagen. Prevagen, made for your brain. Under the bright lights on court Philippe Chatrier, Novak Djokovic is battling Alexander Zverev in their quarterfinal match at this hour. Earlier, world number one Jannik Sinner advanced with a straight-set victory over unseeded Russian Alexander Bublik. Second-seeded Coco Gauff knocked out fellow American Madison Keys to play unseeded Frenchwoman Lois Boisson, who upset Mira Andreeva in straight sets. Boisson says she's not done yet.
I think every kid who play tennis have the dream to win a slam. More for French player to win Roland Garros for sure. So yeah, it's a dream for sure. I will go for the dream because my dream is to win it, not to be in the semifinal.
Boisson becomes the first woman to reach the semis in her Grand Slam debut since Jennifer Capriati did it back in the 1990 French Open. With this tennis update, I'm Erica Herskowitz, Westwood One Sports.
David is a real Prevagen user, and this is his story.
Nice to meet you. My name is David. I've been a pharmacist for 44 years, and I'm from Flowery Branch, Georgia. When I first started taking Prevagen, I noticed stuff just seemed to come together and fit like a jigsaw puzzle. When I have customers come in, I recommend Prevagen. Number one, because it's safe and effective, does not require a prescription. And I've been taking it quite a while myself, and I know it works. I wouldn't recommend something like Prevagen if I didn't think it was worth it because it works so good for me. And I love it when the customers come back in and tell me, David, that really works so good. Makes my day.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Testimonialist was compensated for their time.
And we're back talking all things connectivity with Spectrum customers Kev and Melissa. So tell us, how long have you been with Spectrum and how important is a reliable internet connection?
We've been Spectrum customers since we moved 12 years ago. The first thing we did is sign up for Spectrum Internet.
You get a lease, you get it Wi-Fi.
Yes,
immediately.
We need that. We had Spectrum Wi-Fi before our couch got here.
That's true. That's a true story.
I'll sleep on the floor, but I won't go to bed with no internet.
You heard it here. Switch to Spectrum now.
Breaking news.
news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in North Carolina. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. T&Cs apply. Available in app only.
Dear McDonald's, your breakfast menu? Fire. 10s across the board. I could be happy with anything, even though I order the same thing every time. Thanks for not judging me. I'll try something new next time. Maybe.
Get your faves for less. Buy a sausage McMuffin with egg for $2.50 at any size Sprite for $1.49. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Struggling to get the sleep treatment you need? I'm Megan Giggling, General Manager of Parkway Sleep Health Centers. You shouldn't have to wait for better sleep. Our streamlined process provides for sleep studies, CPAP machines, and supplies, without the long delays you'll find at other sleep centers. At Parkway Sleep, we'll help you get good rest faster, and with the care you deserve.
With over 20 years of experience, join countless satisfied customers who have discovered the Parkway Sleep difference. Visit us today at parkwaysleep.com. Parkway Sleep Health Centers. Sound sleep, sound health.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything! The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu!
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
What's up? This is Will I Am. I'm joining Stand Up to Cancer and Providence Health System to let you know that colon cancer affects the Black community at a higher rate. But there's hope. If you're 45 and older, go get a colon cancer screening right now because it's 91% beatable if detected early. Ask your doctor or go to providence.org/colon cancer to determine which screening option is right for you.
There's always room for improvement, right? I've said it before, until we have the 20 best players in the league, there's still room to get better. And we're going to keep working towards that, right? Every time we see an opportunity to bring in someone who we think helps us take a step forwards, we're going to take advantage of that.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I don't think I'm outside the realm of logic when I say I think the Canes need a goal scorer. I don't think I'm outside the realm of logic when I say their actions show that the front office thinks the Canes need a goal scorer. And I think that is part of employing and paying players like Sebastian Aho and players who are unbelievable talents, but don't come wired in the same way that the top goal scorers in the league are wired. So I think this postseason, one of the last things, and actually, let's take a step back here. And I have names here that I'm going to mention, and there's one kind of pie in the sky dream. I think in building a team sport roster, the first 4 or 5, maybe years, are all about getting everybody on the same page, getting everybody that fits in perfectly with everything you're doing. And then once the foundation is solid and it's been established, you find you still need the people that fit, right? I'm not saying go get a jerk. I'm not saying go get a selfish. I'm not saying any of that. But you can kind of say, all right, we can cover for this deficiency in their game because they bring us something we don't have. Right? I'm always thinking, relating it back to football because it's a sport I played. Like the first bunch of years, every wide receiver needs to be watching Hines Ward film. You're blocking. You're putting your nose into linebacker's chest. Where's Larry Fitzgerald? You need those players. And then years later, if it's like, you know what? I think we just need a speed dude. And if he's 178 pounds, but he takes the top off of defense, and he's not a great blocker and he's not very physical, I think we can make it work as long as everyone else is still super strong in what we do. If the Canes wanted to go get a guy who, gosh forbid, put his offensive production a tiny bit ahead of being a two-way hockey player, it would sound ridiculous because of everything they've established, but I think they can afford it. So the names that we've heard a lot of, right, and we're talking forwards here. Mitch Marner had 27 goals this year, 35 is his career high, and do you expect that to go up leaving the Toronto Maple Leafs? I don't know about that. Sam Bennett, we just got real up and close personal with him. 25 goals this year, 28 is top. I don't know. Maybe a Brock Besser type, 25 goals this year, but he does have a single 40-goal season in his career, perhaps, if he's available. Ehlers, 29 is the most he's scored. Like, the Canes have, I believe, a handful of guys that could go give you 28, 29, 31 goals. That's not what I'm talking about here. And I don't want to just dip into the old world, right? Even though Brock Nelson just got 3 years, 7.5 per with the Colorado Avalanche. He's, flirting with the mid-30s. Brad Marchand, Tavares, these guys are mid and maybe even beyond mid-30s. I think when the Canes have the benefit of Rod Brind'Amour, and what Rod Brind'Amour does is he raises the floor of darn near everyone that plays for him. I think you do everything you can to get the one difference maker, and then you use whatever resources you have left to fill out the roster and trust that Rod Brind'Amour will get the most out of them, and the difference maker might rise your ceiling. And I think you have to be willing to be cold-blooded and calculated and an assassin in the front office, and that's where Eric Tulsky comes in. Do you know who I want? And it might be a pipe dream. You might say it's foolish, but it's hey, we're at the beginning of the offseason and anything is possible. I want Jason Robertson.
Wouldn't that be nice?
25 years old, multiple 40-goal scorers on a team that can't afford their roster right now. Dare I say it's kind of Mikko opportunity-ish on Colorado, where if you look like a year into the future, I don't know how you're going to have all these guys. They have no money left.
Also important to note, Jason Robertson's about to be an RFA and not a UFA, so you have a little bit more of that team control. It's a little less likely that you might have to worry about kind of a contract holdout situation like with Rantanen ideally, but you have to wonder, would Dallas be open to making another trade after how it went down? You got to figure they're pretty satisfied with getting Rantanen.
I was going to say, I don't think they're upset. I don't think there's any bad blood in that trade. If anything, I think if any trades were kind of burned, it would have been no. Actually, I don't think any. I think the teams are all cool with each other. A few of them just don't like Mikko. Eric Tulsky has shown the ability to go into a program and I assume kind of sell them on how bad their situation is. Right? You don't get Mikko Rantanen from the Colorado Avalanche without doing some subtle hinting on like you're not going to be able to keep him this offseason anyway. Right? I can solve all of that for you by giving you Martin Necas and Jack Drury on much more reasonable contracts. We'll throw in some picks, and you get to come out scot-free. It's a very similar conversation. You've got problems in Dallas. You've got financial salary cap problems in Dallas, and I can right here give you young players, give you prospects, give you cheaper players, picks. Well, it's going to be expensive, don't get me wrong, but it should be for a player that age that good. And we can solve all those problems in a snap. All you have to do is let us get that 25-year-old that puts in the back of the net a whole bunch of times.
The Canes have a lot of assets, a lot of prospects, a lot of picks. Dallas, maybe they want their picks back. We can give them those 2 first-round picks back.
Give them a menu, right? You can pick one thing from this level, one from this level, 2 from this level. Anyone from our AHL roster, probably not named Nadeau, but if Nadeau's just on a higher part of the menu, it's like a 4-course meal, right? You get 2 first-round picks with this selection. You get a couple of prospects, and you get 1 NHL ready-made contributor. And then and I'm just making this up on the spot. And for dessert, we will throw in a future third or something like that, and just a little something to close the deal. And in return, we will get Robertson, or maybe, we've been talking about the need for another center on the Canes roster. Mm-hmm. Maybe if you would take a look at Roope Hintz, we wouldn't mind that. I mean, if you want to get bigger, we can get bigger. The I almost look at it as two different things, though, because I do think they need center help, right? And obviously a 2-center would be the ideal. And I think they need the goal scorer. I don't know if you solve those two at the same time. And I also think it's more important for centers to be in that Canes culture, right? You can have a winger out there who's just hunting shots. I don't think in the Canes system you can have a center doing similar amount of I call them avocado selfishness. It's the good kind. The good selfishness moves. If centers are kind of have to be those two-way players. So I think you can go, quite honestly, settle that cheaper somewhere else. And maybe that is where you get to a early to mid-30s guy on a 2 or 3 year deal, and that can be more of a grinder. But I have felt everybody say what they want in the offseason right as it started, and then have everybody almost feel greedy or like spoiled for wanting it and go right back into like Canes talk. And I don't want that to happen. Like if right after the series ended, you went, I want a 45-goal scorer. And then 2 days later, you're like, I was lashing out. I know what we do here. We do the both ways thing, and you can't. No, you wanted it for a reason, and I don't think you were wrong. Now, is it Robertson? I don't know. That's like one pie in the sky. But there's opportunities out there. I don't think you're going to find it in the free agency market is what I'm getting at. So you got to be creative, and Eric Tulsky has shown the ability to do that.
The options, there are a few out there in free agency. You mentioned a few there. I was talking with you earlier before the show about John Tavares.
A little older, but yes.
He's a little bit older, right? He doesn't have quite the speed, but if you're looking in terms of that pure goal-scoring talent, like you said, you could have someone that could be that kind of black hole, instant green light guy. Like, that's a guy that can do that. Now, I don't know.
It's like I don't want to be on a bunch of jerks. I'm not using it in the bunch of jerks. I'm talking about like a friend group.
Right, yeah.
Like, I don't want to be in a friend group with 10 jerks, right? But every friend group that's our jerk, right? Oh, that's Jimmy. That's whatever. He's an acquired taste, but he's our jerk, right? I don't want to be on a team, especially the way the Canes play, with everyone hunting for their own shot, right? Everybody constantly figuring out how they can score more because they know that's how they get paid, and how they can score more because they know that. But you can have, but that's our one, right? Oh, no, we're all super selfless. We are all two-way hockey players. We all take more pride in blocking shots than scoring goals. That's us. Except for him, that's our goal scorer right there. Like, that's our jerk. Metaphorically. I don't know if Jason Robertson's a good guy or not, but that's just the one I would go with. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. A little late here, but as always, at about this time, we hit you with the Dean's List. Dean's List, where we highlight those that need a little bit of extra praise, a few extra accolades in the college sports world. I don't know. Let's be real. I mean, we're in this weird lull between regionals and super regionals. There's obviously not a ton of college sports going on, but there's a few things, maybe stories that deserve a little bit extra time. FSU and Clemson, Florida State and Clemson. I don't like this, but like to the victor goes the spoils. The lawsuits between Florida State and the ACC and Clemson and the ACC are officially now done, right? I think it was yesterday. The lawyers got their last billable hours as they submitted their conclusions. I hate to say it, Florida State and Clemson won. Now, they didn't get out of the ACC, which was what they were asking for, but they got a few things. There will be a number. We'll learn it in time. There will be a number that they can pay to leave. Right, part of the the trepidation or the confusion was nobody knew what that number actually was, and putting a number on it and then watching that number go down each year is really what they wanted. There is a number, and they will be able to get out earlier than they thought. They are not handcuffed to the league until 2036, like it seemed on the previous grant of rights. And they're going to make more money in the meantime because there's 40%, reportedly, 40% of the ACC payouts are going to be divided up equally. And then 60% will be divided up based on brand and ratings and a few other metrics. Florida State and Clemson won. right? They may not have won 100-0, but they won. They beat their conference in courts and in negotiation, and right, they had skin in the game, and they got what they wanted. So I guess congratulations. I don't like it, but congratulations. Dean's List, talked about it earlier today. UNC basketball supporters coming up with $14 million, according to Inside Carolina, to pay a roster. That's putting your money where your mouth is. And now you can make decisions about jobs and about security and about everything else moving forward, knowing you gave them all the resources necessary. And that right there is kind of a nice little feeling. Do you have one you'd like to throw in here, Max? Anything you want to put on the Dean's List?
I do. I will give a shout-out to Nigeri Kennedy, the pitcher for Texas Tech softball. The first $1 million player in college softball. They're playing in the Women's College World Series final tonight against Texas. So shout out her. I pull her stats up here. She's like something like 32-5 with a .88 ERA or something like that. It's
sounds
ridiculous. And I was seeing they were bringing up all the Twitter receipts. It was weirdly, it was a lot of Oklahoma softball fans because they had like a dynasty going in women's in softball, and they were all really mad whenever she took the NIL deal and went to Texas Tech, which wasn't like a big storied program in softball. And now she's taking them to the final, and they knocked out Oklahoma in the process.
I've talked about this in the past. College sports, do you remember, and I don't want to get political, and I don't get political. I keep it non-political. But when Live Golf was happening, and then there was soccer teams like the Saudis were just buying, and F1, and I don't know, there was a lot of like, oh, the Saudis are just going to start buying championships. My first thought was college sports is where it's easiest, right? We're talking about Carolina, $14 million being some exorbitant number. $1 million for a softball player is over multiple years, just some exorbitant number. If the Saudis wanted to, I think they could just come in and pick a random school, pick Grand Canyon, and give them a yearly budget to just win the national championship every year. I don't know what it would benefit them, but I don't know what benefiting them like trying to steal golfers was either. It just seems like if one rich alumni picked a sport at really any school, they could just, and I'm talking about like billionaire rich, they could just like create a dynasty. If Texas Tech just gave their softball program like $3 million a year to build a program, I have to imagine that would for like NIL, not all expenses. I have to imagine that would easily, at least conference championship every year. You get to have some weird pride. Last member of the Dean's List. I don't know how he pulled it off. I don't know if they went Illuminati behind the scenes. Jay Lucas, the head coach of the Miami Hurricanes. I didn't realize this. When the ACC new schedule format came out, I was so blinded by some rivalries not happening, UNC and NC State only playing once, that I completely missed that Duke doesn't play Miami. There's one team that, like each ACC team, doesn't play one team each year, okay? There's a billion teams in the ACC now. They've expanded a bunch of times. One team they don't play. Jay Lucas, who left Duke to take the Miami job between the end of the regular season and the postseason, doesn't have to face Duke this year. They don't play at all. Leaving your like mentor, right? Or mentor might not be the right word because he and Shire were like connected at the hip at Duke, and then you leave in conference to take a head coaching job. Part of like, all right, that's cool, but you got to take your medicine. You got to go face your friends. You got to go face the team that you were a part of. He doesn't have to do that for another year. And by the way rosters turn over, like guys will be gone. It'll be completely different. I don't know how he pulled it off. 1 out of 17 chance? 1 out of 18? Nailed it. All right, there you go. That's the Dean's List. Here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. So I substitute hosted the Adam Gold Show yesterday. Shout out to everybody that works there. I was talking with Victoria. We stumbled into this. The Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau, right? And I'm not just going to sit here and do some random NBA offseason segment. It's going to relate back to the teams we care about, I promise you. The Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau despite making it to Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. 2 wins away from making it to the finals. They fired him quickly.
Oh, yeah.
That is an issue, but not in like I'm going to sit here and stand for Tom Thibodeau because I can explain it, right? He's gone to a bunch of different teams. He's gotten them to a certain level. He refuses to rest his starters, and then they always kind of peter out of the playoffs at the same point, and they get exhausted, and it happens over and over and over again. So if you're just, crediting that and looking at his history and firing him, fine. I will say he's taken the Knicks. I mean, they've won, 3 or 4 series in the playoffs in the last 3 or 4 years under Thibodeau. And for the previous, 15 years, they won a series. It's I can see why you'd be upset about firing Tom Thibodeau. But I'm not here to argue that. The part I'm here to argue is, and Rod Brindamore faced it, across sports, I think it's part Kobe Bryant's fault, part Will Ferrell and Talladega Nights' fault, and part a blowback to the participation trophy era. There is this particularly in professional sports, this overwhelming, if you don't win the championship, you are a failure. And I'm not saying that, you're striving for anything less than a championship. I'm not saying that it's okay to, it's all right, you tried hard. No. What I'm saying is you have to look at all of the context. And you have to be realistic with your build. Rod Brindamore takes the Canes this year further, if you just go games won in the postseason, than any season in almost 20 years since they hoisted the cup that long ago. There were calls for his job during the Eastern Conference Finals because, it's obvious he can't win in the Eastern Conference Finals, and that's where the ceiling is with Rod. Very similar to Tom Thibodeau, right? That's where the ceiling is. He can't win in the Eastern Conference Finals. And again, it's not an issue about demanding greatness. You don't have to be happy having not won a cup. You don't have to celebrate making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. You can do whatever you want, but the issue it creates leads into decision-making. Here's what I mean. This offseason is going to be a crazy offseason in the NBA. Do you know why? Because the Thunder are really good. And I believe the Thunder are going to roll through the NBA Finals. I believe they're going to beat the Pacers. And they don't have a lot of guys. It's not, hey, we better win now because everybody's going to go elsewhere later. They have a bunch of young guys that are very good and a bunch of picks, and they're going to stay very good. And everybody in the NBA just saw Tom Thibodeau get fired for making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So they know that's not good enough. And we've seen it time and time and time again, right? We've seen guys, the legendary one is, we're looking at 15 years ago now, but Dwayne Casey won Coach of the Year with the Toronto Raptors and was fired that offseason. So if you're running a program, if you're running a franchise and you think you're getting better, or maybe you think, hey, we can make a few minor adjustments, maybe we'll be better, but really 3 years from now we'll be great. And you just watched Tom Thibodeau get fired for making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. You're thinking, I got to win the whole thing, or else I'll get fired. So guess what? Do you think I care if we have any 2028 or 2029 or 2030 first-round picks? Nope. Trade them away. Do you think I care if I'm trading away young talent for Kevin Durant? Nope. Trade him away, because if I don't win this year, I'm not going to be here next year. And then you get a whole bunch of teams that are not operating in what's best for their franchise. They're operating in what's best for me to keep my job one more year, which is why I love that Eric Tolsky has stood so firmly behind Rod Brindamore. And right, the Canes have 6 first-round picks in the next 4 drafts. If Rod Brindamore truly thought, if everybody wasn't standing behind him, if Eric Tolsky thought that if they didn't win a cup in the next year or two, they were going to be fired, why in the heck would they keep any 2028 first-round picks? Why in the heck would they keep any of they had a very good AHL team this year. Why in the heck would they keep any of those guys in the pipeline? Heck, why would they keep Alexander Nikishin? Alexander Nikishin is an unbelievable player. He's an unbelievable prospect. He's an unbelievable talent. You could easily trade him for some ready-made 34-year-old defenseman that'll be better for 1 year next year, but you're thinking Nikishin's going to be a part of your team for a long time. Hopefully, if you can get him re-signed. If most of the league is operating on a coach or GM that if you don't win the entire thing, you're fired, you're not going to have anyone running a team the right way. And it's truly like a chicken or the egg. Because if you look at the NBA right now, with Thibodeau being fired, there's 2 super long tenured coaches. There's Spoelstra down there in Miami, and there's Kerr in Golden State. The next longest is Billy Donovan. He feels like he got the job yesterday.
It's almost like an epidemic in pro sports. Is all these coaches, as soon as they don't hit the highest heights they get. I mean, there were 3 coaches in the last month of the NBA season who got fired.
Yeah, well, I mean the Nuggets with their top seed or a top half seed, whatever they end up being. But the 2 that like Spoelstra and Kerr, what do they have in common? They took over teams and won championships very quickly. Guess what else they are? They've been 2 of the better programs, 2 of the better teams with the highest floor that make it to the postseason every year since then. The chicken or the egg is, are they really, really good coaches? Yes. So I don't want to take anything away from them. But also the ability, like they have job security. They can make decisions with what's best for the future of the team without worrying about losing their job. Thus, their floor is going to be higher. It's the Mike Tomlin thing. It's the Bill Belichick thing. When Bill Belichick was in New England, he'd draft someone in the 2nd round, have them play as a rookie, cut him the next offseason. And I'd go, he's so lucky he gets to have that kind of job security, because other coaches can't cut a 2nd rounder that quickly because it looks like you're just waving your hand saying, I was really wrong on that one. So they have to pretend like they were right and try to find some value there just so the owner doesn't go, you wasted that 2nd rounder. But Belichick had a fistful of rings, and eventually it caught up with him too. If everyone's making decisions for their own job security, no one's making decisions for the team. This is going to be a crazy year for the NBA. And there's going to be 10 moves that are made where we go, ooh, they better win now. And the coach is going, yeah, that's kind of the deal. If we don't, I'm fired. And then the next guy is going to have to deal with not having any picks or young players for the next 5 years. And then someone else will go eat that for 5 years. And once we're good, they'll go get the real coach to win. It's gross.
Everybody wants to win a championship, but we got to remember there's only one team that does it every year. Are the other 30, if in the case of the NHL, the other 31 teams going to get rid of their coach? Are the other 29 NBA teams going to do that?
And the NBA and NHL, and I don't say this like mean to any, like, and NFL too. There's like 7 or 8 teams a year that have a chance. Everyone else, if you're cup or die, if you're championship or bust, you're just wrong. And to be honest, those 7 or 8 teams, there's really only 3 or 4 of them that are like championship or bust. The others are right at the beginning of a window, right at the end of a window, got caught lightning in a bottle, whatever it is. Like, realistic expectations are wildly important. They're becoming more and more rare as the business gets bigger and bigger. And part of it is salary cap and stuff. Like, if you're paying what the NHL is going to be up to like 125 or something here.
It's going up like $8 to $10 million for every year, at least for the next 3 years. So
every owner is saying, like, if I'm paying all that money, we better win a championship. It's like, so is everybody else.
Yeah, everybody else has that cap space as a weapon too. But it's good. I feel like we know the Hurricanes do things differently in general, and I think they understand sometimes it takes a while to break through. Like John Cooper with the Lightning got hired in 2013. Had a lot of good teams. They didn't break through and actually win the cup until 2020. Or Jared Bednar with the Avalanche. I think his first year they were like by far the worst team in hockey. And then 6 years later, they've had probably the best team, one of the better teams in the last probably 10 years, and they win the championship. So it takes time to break through that final barrier and get that championship.
Rebuilds usually get you like 3 years, and then it immediately becomes like win now. And I'm like, whoa, there's like 7 steps you're missing there. You got to get to respectable, then you got to get to a little bit better, then you got to get to good, then you got to division, then you get to contending, then you got to go lose a series you're not supposed to, then you got to go win that series, lose the next, and then maybe you're hardened enough to go win. And if you skip steps, you're lucky. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We have football at 4 coming up next. Which young Carolina Panther is having their offseason moment ready for their close-up? But first, Manor Service Company is ready for their close-up. Or matter of fact, they're always ready for their close-up. 24/7 service all across the triangle, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric. That's part of the best thing of Manor Service Company, actually. And I'm Tim Donnelly here for Manor Service Company. You've heard the term stay ready so you don't have to get ready. That's what Manor Service Company does fantastically. We get caught off guard when things break, right? It's oh no, there's something wrong with my toilet. Oh no, why do I hear dripping in the kitchen or dripping in the living room or even worse, dripping and I don't know where it is. Like when that happens, we panic. We call Manor Service Company. They stay ready so they don't have to get ready. They come over. They know what to look for. They know how to turn things off. They know how to get it fixed. They know how to get you back to your life. And that's plumbing, the example I used. That's electric. That's cooling. That's heating. They truly do stay ready so they don't have to get ready. You've probably been out driving around and saw their trucks, whether you notice them or not. It's a comforting feeling knowing they're a part of the community. Locally owned here. I spoke with their owner, Brett, not too long ago. Literally a part of the community. A lot of philanthropic efforts as well, although they don't highlight it. I like to make sure I mention it. They do it just for the good, which is, I don't know why I said that like it's a sarcastic bad thing. It's awesome. They do it just for the good. The number to call, Manor Service Company, 919-361-0993. That's 919-361-0993. Or visit them online at manorservices.com, MAYNOR services.com. Which young Panther is getting their spotlight? I'll tell you next.
Champions are crowned in June. The NBA Finals.
The Oklahoma City Thunder going to the finals for the first time in 13 years.
The Stanley Cup Finals.
The Florida Panthers are on their way back to the Stanley Cup Final.
The U.S. Open.
And strokes the putt up the hill into the middle. 2 times a U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau.
And the College World Series. Your home for championship action all month long. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle sports leader.
Are you ready for a global summer showdown? Thursday, June 19th at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Football legends collide at the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. Inter Miami and FC Porto. Lionel Messi and Jordi Alba taking on Diogo Costa and Rodrigo Mora. Don't miss your chance to be part of history. Grab your tickets now at FIFA.com/tickets.
Hey, what do you say? John Forsland here for my friends at Buffalo Brothers. We're close to crowning a hockey champion, and when I'm not calling playoff games around the country, the first thing I do when I'm back in the Triangle is head to Buffalo Brothers. The best wings on the planet, and a great place to watch all the big games. Visit all 5 Triangle locations for great specials, like half-price pizzas, Monday through Friday, 4:30 to 6, and a $6 Bloody Mary on Sunday. Dine in, carry out, get it delivered. BuffBrothers.com. Aw, man, now I want wings.
Our state's future begins with our students. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery has contributed over $10 billion to education. Through scholarships, school construction, support staff, and pre-K programs, lottery dollars move our state forward, helping students become the best versions of themselves. Visit movingncstudentsforward.com and share how your student or school community has benefited for a chance to earn $2,000 for your story. Must be 18 to play. Problem Gambling Helpline 877-718-5543.
Celebrate 50 years of adventure at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Enjoy award-winning performances and European-inspired attractions. Feel the excitement of thrilling rides like the all-new Big Bad Wolf, The Wolf's Revenge, now open. And seasonal events like the Food and Wine Festival, where you can taste, sip, and savor more than 150 flavors from around the world, featuring over 80 new menu items. Only at the world's most beautiful theme park. Get limited time deals at buschgardens.com.
Out on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt? You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Big truck accidents can cause life-changing injuries, and life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. I know big truck wrecks, and I know how to fight those big insurance companies. If you've been hurt by a big truck, contact us at ritchielaw.com. I'm on top of it.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Midday today, temperatures upper 70s, mid 80s for highs today with some increasing clouds. Overnight showers moving in, and the rain could make for a messy morning commute at times Thursday with a low flood risk. That's why Thursday now is a WRAL Weather Alert Day. I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 4 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones down 91 points to 42,427. This hour of the drive also brought to you by Lionsgate. Lionsgate's ballerina follows Ana de Armas as Eve Macaro, a young assassin trained by the Ruska Roma, set between the events of John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, and Chapter 4, with a hauntingly elegant edge, in theaters on Friday, June 6th.
Let's move the chains. Time for football at 4.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is a little past 4, but it's time for football at 4. And that means Jatavian Sanders, second-year tight end, Carolina Panthers. Come forth and have your moment. This is one of my favorite times of an NFL season, is OTAs, right? The rookie mini camps took place, and the reason is because it's best shape of their life season. Best shape of their life. Oh, this guy is great. Oh, this guy has and this is part of what we're going to hear for Jatavian Sanders. He's given up fast food. Bet you didn't realize how many coaches thought the only thing holding back a young player from superstardom is the $5 footlong, which isn't $5 anymore. I don't know why that was the fast food I picked.
Maybe the $5 biggie bag.
There you go. Something that comes in a box or a bag, and you can eat it in your car. That's the only thing that was holding these guys back. Jatavian Sanders, he's having his moment, and I'll tell you why. It's you gotta take it all with a grain of salt. But first, let's hear some of it. Dave Canales, proud of Jatavian Sanders in the offseason he's had.
JT's doing a great job. I think, when we send a message to the guys, especially the rookies, this offseason is going to be totally different than anything you've experienced, because typically you show right back up and you go back into your weight room at school. Now it's like you have to find a way to find that fitness for yourself, to find that strength for yourself, because we don't get the guys back till mid-April. They can come in and utilize the facilities, but JT heard that message, took it seriously, and he really came back in such great shape. I'm proud of him for taking those steps, and it makes me feel confident about him going into this summer, having a plan for his prep, and looking for a big year out of him.
The Athletic has an article out as well. Some of those quotes were in the article. I'll read you some of the article about Jatavian Sanders. Sanders has avoided junk food since returning to Charlotte for the offseason program. He hired a chef to prepare healthy meals for him, such as steak, rice and broccoli, or chicken Alfredo with broccoli. The 6'4" Sanders weighed in at 245 pounds Tuesday after playing last season at 255 pounds. He lost 10 pounds. I can do math. Occasionally. He lost 10 pounds. He was quoted. Jatavian Sanders was quoted in the article. Last year, I was definitely one of those dudes. Definitely give me a little Domino's pizza or whatever. But now if I'm hungry at 11 o'clock at night, I open up one of them meal prep containers. End quote. Listen, it is mighty convenient the time all of this is coming out. Do you know why? All this flowery language, all of this hype, all of this he's in the best shape of his life, all of this he's eating vegetables, all of this talk about Jatavian Sanders is coming right as Tommy Tremble's health is a super unknown and he might start the year on the physically unable to perform list, Tommy Tremble being the veteran leader of the tight end group. So isn't it convenient that as soon as the team looks like they're going to be depending on Sanders more, it also comes out that Sanders has put in the best offseason of his life? Here's Dave Canales on the Tommy Tremble injury and the surgery and everything that he's got going on.
Tommy, it doesn't look like Tommy's going to be ready to go at training camp. I don't know specifically what the timeline is. There's a window in there he could get back to us at some point as we go into the preseason and camp. But right now, it's just like we have to take it one day at a time, with the surgery. He feels great. But there's a lot that goes into that, making sure that he's right. And so we'll kind of just take it, day by day as we go into camp.
All right, here's my official stance. Jatavian Sanders is a really good player. And I think he is potentially due for a breakout. And obviously that could be aided by the absence of Tommy Tremble when it's rep getting time, right? If it gets to not just OTAs, but into the practices and into training camp and maybe preseason, and Tremble's still not ready, yes, Jatavian Sanders will benefit from that. But I have absolutely no weight being put on him dropping 10 pounds of weight. I have absolutely no anything on him now driving past the hot and fresh sign at the donut place and driving home to open up a container of broccoli and chicken or whatever they were talking about. He's a really good player because I thought he was a really good player at Texas. He's a really good player because I thought he was a really good value in the 4th round. He's a really good player because last year he dealt with some injuries, but he also flashed a few times in the NFL as a playmaking tight end. Now, he does have to block better if they're going to use him in the way they used Tremble and Ian Thomas in the past, guys that Thomas isn't back, and Tremble, obviously, we just talked about his injury. He's going to have to block better. I'm not sure how losing 10 pounds helps that, right? Having weight to throw around against linebackers and edge rushers that you're being asked to block, that's usually pretty good. So basically, it's going to happen. We're going to cycle through, and we're going to talk about them each time. There's going to be players that, for whatever reason, the propaganda machine hypes up. And everybody's going to talk about all of these things they're doing and how they used to, I've never had a 6-pack before, and now I look at it, right? That we're going to have all of those conversations. And I'm happy that you're getting in shape. Maybe it'll prevent injuries. I don't like there's definitely benefits to eating better and being in shape. But if you didn't think the player was good, don't read one of these fluff articles and change your mind. And if you thought a player was good, don't read one of these fluff articles and put him in the Pro Bowl. I think Sanders has the potential to be a very good player for the Carolina Panthers. An OTA running faster because he's 10 pounds lighter did not change any of that. Best shape of their life season. I just want to hire a coach just from this point just to talk about me and my friends because everything is awesome right now. It's just a hype man, essentially.
Look, we got to give him credit. I mean, that's what we do here is we find things to talk about. And
I guess he's giving us something to talk about.
Yeah, and he's giving us a little material. And
but it's the magician's thing, right? It's like, look over here, right? Tommy Tremble might be out into the preseason. He might start on the physically unable to perform list. That is a player they chose to bring back that at a position of importance in this offense. So instead of us all going, yikes, he's going, but look at this. This guy hasn't, he's eating more rice. Well, okay, I guess that's good, right? He's in shape. Cool. Maybe they won't miss Tremble. It's good. It's good maneuver. PR firms should study coaches in the month of June. Learn how to deflect. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Max and I get into a mini version of the ladder challenge, mano y mano, for the next couple of days, and we line up the biggest stories in sports. We hit them and quit them. Coming up next.
Dennis Cox here for my good friends over at Law Tigers. I love getting on the motorcycle. I love being out there on the road and just cruising around. But you have to make sure you are prepared before you even get on the bike. This is what we talk about in sports all the time. Preparation, making sure you have everything in line before you get ready to go on the field or on the court or on the ice. It's no different than getting on a motorcycle. Make sure your insurance is proper. Make sure your bike is in working order. Make sure, even if you haven't ridden your motorcycle in a while, that maybe go take a riding safety course just to make sure that you are up to date with everything that you need to do when you're out there on the road. If you're injured in a motorcycle accident, call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS even before you contact the insurance companies. Law Tigers, they're part of the motorcycle riding community. They are there for you. They know what your bike is worth, your gear is worth, and what you're going through after an accident. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle injury lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Champions are crowned on 99.9 The Fan.
It's 3 consecutive Eastern Conference championships for the Florida Panthers.
Hockey tonight. Florida, Edmonton in the Stanley Cup Final, Game 1.
McDavid scores!
Puck drop at 8.
Nico Mikkola gets the cash and Florida's off and running.
On your audio home for the Stanley Cup Final, 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes Dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned, Cajun-fried, whole breast tenderloin fillets. Choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles' legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-777-1225. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-777-1225. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-777-1225. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-777-1225 or biglou.com.
Hey, it's Victoria with 99.9 The Fan with a Men's Health Month tip from WakeMed Heart and Vascular. Each year, smoking causes more than 480,000 deaths in the United States. That's nearly 1 in 5 deaths. Those aren't odds you want to play with. Don't put off kicking the habit. In just 1 year after quitting, a person's risk for coronary heart disease decreases by half. Learn more about how you can quit and get started today, plus other ways to care for your heart at wakemed.org.
Green flag of Michigan International Speedway.
It's madness in Motor City as NASCAR Prime heads to Michigan International Speedway. 200 miles per hour feels even faster than it sounds. These white-knuckle, 3-wide thrills bring us one of the fastest tracks in the Cup Series. So strap in and stream Michigan Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. NASCAR, it's on Prime.
All the way around to Perry, skates to stick. Here's McDavid, working past Eichel. McDavid, Draisaitl, scores! McDavid and Draisaitl combine for the game winner.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Sure would be nice to have a couple guys like that on the squad. It's The Drive here on a Wednesday. We have Max producing the show, producer Max, sitting in for Dennis, and he will be doing so as well tomorrow. So instead of having Dennis like remote in for the ladder challenge and leave a pick and maybe he forgets and who knows, the odds have changed, we decided to do a mini ladder challenge. So instead of going for the full month, it's Max and I versus each other, mano y mano, one-on-one for today and tomorrow. So here's how it's going to work. We start with $10. You get to place any bet you want today. Any bet you want. If you get it right, you have to roll over the winnings. You have to. So if you want to go find it, if you think you're ahead by so much that you can't lose, you could go bet a minus 10,000 bet and just, take your winnings and move on. You could go big, right? It kind of has that element of like Final Jeopardy, where we don't know what each other's wagering. If you get it wrong, you go back to $10, start again with $10 tomorrow. For those of you that paid attention to our ladder challenge yesterday, both Dennis and I did win. He had Paul Skeens over 7 strikeouts. Over 6 strikeouts. I had over 7. He finished with 8. Skeens is getting brutalized. He pitched 8 innings, gave up 3 hits, had 8 strikeouts, gave up just 1 earned run, and it felt like he was 1,000 miles away from getting the win.
I saw a very funny joke online today. It was like, it's hard to feel bad for a guy who's dating a model and is going to sign a $500 million contract, but the Pirates are making it possible.
Somehow. He walked off the mound after the 8th, down 1-0. He got the loss, and the bullpen gave up 2 in the 9th, so the game ended up being 3-0. Goodness gracious, Pittsburgh, give him some help. Now, I was a Mets fan when they had DeGrom, and they did some of this stuff to DeGrom for a while, but I don't think it was this bad. So anyway, in our regular standing ladder challenge, I'm up to $28.20. But for this one, we're starting at 10. Max, as the newbie here, go ahead and lead off.
See, now the pressure's on me because I don't know where you're going to go without the odds limiter on it here.
That's true. That's part of the game, right? You could go just 2 like plus 10,000s.
Exactly.
And if you hit either of them, you win.
Exactly.
Or you could be a little bit more conservative. I will say mine's written down. Like what you say will not change.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. Did balloons just go up outside the window?
I think it's a window washer or something.
Okay.
I don't know if it was balloons. I saw that too, though.
I can't really see the window, and just in my peripheral vision, it looked like a child just lost their balloons and they went up.
I think someone's washing it. This is excellent radio content.
That's fine.
Right
Hey, I wasn't going to be able to focus on anything else till we got to the bottom of it.
All right. So for my pick, I kind of went back and forth, but I'm going to try to get some value on you here. I'm going to go with a 2-leg parlay here, actually.
Wow. Fancy.
I'm going risky here.
I don't know why I act like a 2-leg parlay. It was like you were doing calculus. Like, whoa,
whoa, crazy,
fancy.
I'm trying to get a leg up here. So first leg, I'm gonna go with Edmonton to win tonight, Game 1, Stanley Cup Finals. They're minus 125, and then I'm gonna combine that with Iga Swiatek in the semifinal of the French Open. She's plus 106. They call her the Queen of Clay. She is the best clay player in women's tennis. She is going up against Sabalenka, who is the number 1 player in the world right now, who knocked off Swiatek. But combine that together, 2-leg parlay, that is plus 270. So $10 would net me $37.08.
All right. French Open plus Stanley Cup parlay. I'm just going with a straight single prop. Connor McDavid, 4 more shots on goal. It's plus 135, so my 10 would turn into 23, roughly. Actually, I think it might be exactly. Either way, McDavid has to own this series, right? It's Edmonton, it's Canada, he's McDavid. And as we've seen and as they experienced in the past, Florida tries to tone set, right? They try to kind of be the bully right out the gate, and McDavid knows that, and I think he'll fight back with skill. And I think he's gonna be aggressive. I think he scores a goal, and I think he gets a bunch of shots on goal. But that's not the bet. I'm not like parlaying anytime goal scorer. Just 4 more shots on goal for McDavid tonight, and then we go from there. Have a nice bigger nest egg to do something a little bit more aggressive perhaps tomorrow if it hits. There you go. Max and I, mano y mano, 2-day ladder challenge. We'll see who wins. That's it for the ladder challenge, and with that, we get to jump to one of our favorite segments of the week. It's what we call Hit It and Quit It. All right, hit it and quit it. This is where we line up some of the biggest stories. We hit them and we quit them. We get on to the next. Starting with the TST begins today. The soccer tournament begins today, which is I believe there's a men's and a women's bracket. $1 million to the winners. This is like a weird subset of sports has become these events where they just put up huge cash prizes, and that is the draw, right? That's how you get celebrities involved, or how you get teams to send players, and it's just because $1 million, right, to like an NBA player or an NBA max contract guy might not be crazy, but to most athletes and most celebrities out there, it's worth giving it a go. And it happens right here out in Cary. So everybody kind of shows up. There's like WWE potential. I might get the wrong wrestling federation. Wrestlers hanging out. Pat McAfee's hanging out. Hope Solo has a team. There's a U.S. women's national team. There's really cool surroundings. If you're out there, by the way, say hi to Graham Hill, who is
he was photobombing the McAfee show earlier,
which they're doing live from out there in Cary, Wake Med. I think this. And I think it could happen here. I think it should happen here. I think an event like this needs to happen in hockey. They have the basketball tournament. They have the soccer tournament. I want hockey, and here's why. I don't know if there's a sport that is more every year at the Olympics, or every 4 years when the Olympics happens, or every 2 years when the Olympics happens, somebody makes the joke that every event should just have one random person like plucked from the audience that has to compete just to show everybody else how hard it is, right? So it's like, oh gosh, you fell off the rings, and then you get like, Jimmy the accountant out there, and he can't even hang from the rings. Like, all right, maybe it's harder than I thought. I don't know if there's a sport where that's more necessary than hockey, because we watch, the NBA, but we've all picked up a basketball. Right, we've all, at least in gym class or pick up hoops, like you've shot a basketball, generically how difficult it is. We've all played t-ball. We've all, at least picked up a football and tried to throw it to a buddy. There are people out there that haven't skated ever, and if they have skated, a lot of them have just skated in circles slowly at Christmas time. I think more regular people have to see how difficult it is, because. And I fall into it sometimes, where somebody will be on a shift and they'll get caught with the opposing team just keeping it in the offensive zone, and it's like, oh my gosh, he's been out there for an hour or a minute and 45 seconds, and I'm like, are we really? It's a minute 45 seconds. Relax, everybody. It can't be that. And
that's how you know you haven't played hockey.
No, exactly.
Eternity.
No, I was gonna say I've played pickup, and then I think logically, and I go, actually, I'm pretty tired, and we weren't following any rules, and I could just stop and put take a knee whenever I wanted to, and it's exhausting. I think we need to get more regular people, celebrities, regular people in hockey situations. We do the 10K playoff payout, which is an opportunity for us to potentially give away a bunch of money. But there's, in the past, who knows how we'll do it in the future, in the past there's been a shot, right? And it's a long shot, but there's a shot that listeners get to do for potential prizes. And at the end, I always tell them, because unless there's a handful that are pretty good, most are horrendously bad. I go, all right, you're not allowed to complain when they miss an empty netter anymore, because you had all the time in the world to line it up, to take a moment, and you missed 30 feet to the left, off your stick. It was awful. You're not allowed to make fun of it anymore. But most people don't have that in hockey, and I think it's necessary. So last year for the TST, the soccer tournament, J.J. Watt participated. You need to get they did it for the wildfires, right? They had celebrities out there. They did I think the LA Kings were involved, and they did a four-team little round robin. That's,
the skate for LA Strong.
Yes, something along those lines. But the thing that they did was all of the celebrities they got. Played hockey at some point, right? They all were in men's leagues, or they played in high school or juniors or whatever. They're all Canadian. I want a generic dude out there just to show everybody how tiring it is, and mic them up and make it happen, because it's we have all these unusual sporting events like the TST. I think hockey needs one. I also think it would be funny to do that for like the 100-meter dash. Just put a generic person out there to pop their hammy while the Usain Bolts just go. Whoa. Let's quit that. Let's hit this.
All right.
No, okay. All right. Sorry, we didn't. We need to coach Max up here. You just fire any old sounder.
Oh,
anything.
I got you here.
There you go.
There we go.
That works.
Any sounder.
And that's the transition to the next.
Oh,
and now you go into the next.
You don't want to give me all that freedom.
Just anything.
Okay.
Surprise us if you can.
So we got Stanley Cup Final, Game 1 tonight. I believe coverage of that will also be available here on our station, 99.9 The Fan.
Look at you.
Oilers rematch against the Florida Panthers. Who you got tonight, Tim? Who you got winning the series? How many games is it going to go? What is your take on this rematch? It was first rematch since 2009. And just, I believe, the third all-time of the back-to-back.
Let's get rooting interests out of the way. I struggled with this because I don't particularly like the Panthers, but I am like, USA, US. I like that Canada hasn't won in a billion years. So I think my rooting interest is on the Panthers side. And also, then you can say, like, well, the Canes would have won the whole thing, but they would have been the second-best team, but they just ran into the best team in the Eastern Conference Finals. It was a bad matchup. So you can do that little mental gymnastics. So I think I want the Panthers to win. I am getting a weird feeling that it's Edmonton's year, though. I'm getting a weird feeling that, there's kind of a coronation that needs to take place with McDavid. He's going to check the final box. Draisaitl's kind of his running mate. And it just feels like that, if I believe in momentum for whatever reason, and I do, for whatever reason, it feels like it's on their side. With that being said, if it becomes a fist fight, I like Florida, right? So I think we'll know early in each game, like what kind of game it's going to be, and then who's favored in that game, right? First 10 minutes, you'll know if it's going to be like a brawl in the center of the ring, or if the Oilers are going to be able to stick and move, and if, to use boxing reference, right, get them on the run. So my pick is the Oilers, but I'm not happy about it.
I get that, and in each of the last few times there was a rematch in the Stanley Cup Finals, the team that had lost the first year won the other one. Gretzky lost in the final year of the Islanders dynasty in the 80s, then came back, won his first cup, and then Sidney Crosby, same thing, 2009, after losing to the Red Wings, came back next year, won. Both those guys, generational talents, legends in their own right. Now it's McDavid with the same situation. I mean, the trends are very much trending.
And I make it a point to say this often, and we all need reminders, like appreciate greatness. Like sometimes I think of, especially if my team's out, like if whatever team I'm rooting for whatever reason, professionally or fandom, or both, once my team's out, I do think of like, what are my grandkids more likely to ask me about? Like I want to have, when my grandpa was a Yankees fan and lived in New York and would go see games, and when the players he talked about, I was never a Yankees fan, but I knew them, right? Because they were the greats. Like when I'm an old man, who's more likely to ask me, like, oh, can you tell me about when McDavid won the cup? Or is it going to be like, do you remember when Matt Tkachuk got his second? Like, I'm more likely to be answering questions about McDavid. So I want more of that. Like, it's why I, despite not always being the biggest fan, I do kind of root for LeBron. Because I'm just like, I'm probably going to be telling stories about him as a sports guy for the rest of my life. So let's make him interesting. So McDavid's probably that guy, so I guess I'll lean that way. Let's quit that, and let's hit this.
Let's do that hockey.
All right, so we've got the NBA Finals starting tomorrow. Stanley Cup Finals tonight, NBA Finals starting tomorrow between the Thunder and the Pacers. And a lot of people are calling this the Paul George Finals. So for the uninitiated, both of these teams in the finals traded away Paul George. Actually, the Pacers traded Paul George to the Thunder in 2017. Originally, that set this whole thing off. But that trade is what allowed them to acquire Domantas Sabonis, who they ended up trading to the Kings for Tyrese Halliburton. And then the Thunder eventually traded Paul George to the Clippers for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is the MVP, one of the best players in the league. And meanwhile, playoff P, Paul George is not participating in any of this. What do you make of this? If you're looking at it from Paul George's perspective, right, and you're over there in Philadelphia, and the season hasn't quite gone how you expected it to go, some injuries kind of derailed it, and you're getting a little older in your career. I mean, your perspective on the whole thing is like what can I do? Like, how can I get this super team formula right to finally get over the hump?
So here's the deal. It's a dangerous way to think of trades, to just continuously I'm trying to think. At a certain point, and I don't want to be quoted on this exactly, but at a certain point, it was like, I don't know, 2 years ago, people were still talking about the Dwight Howard trade from the Magic to the Lakers, I think it was. And it was because, like, they traded for this guy, and then they traded back with that pick, and they got more picks, and then they traded that pick for a pick 2 years in the future, and the tree, the web that they turned Dwight Howard into, like, still hasn't been concluded. That circle still is going on. For example, you can go back further than the Paul George trade. I saw this come across my my feed, and I was able to find it while you were talking. In 2008, the Thunder drafted Serge Ibaka with the 24th pick. And I guess it was a controversial pick. It was like, oh, this guy from wherever he's from, somewhere overseas, that's such a reach. Serge Ibaka played really well for them for a while. And then 8 years later, they traded Serge Ibaka for Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis. A year later, they traded Oladipo and Sabonis for Paul George. The next year, they convinced Paul George to re-sign for big money, which allowed them the following year to trade Paul George to the Clippers for everything you said. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a mountain of picks, which turned into Jalen Williams and beyond and beyond and beyond.
And they still have some of the picks.
And now they're here. So you could argue this entire championship team wasn't put together with Paul George at all. Paul George was simply a mechanism. It was a tool to turn Serge Ibaka into an NBA potential championship roster. And it's a dangerous way to think. I mean, it's not untrue, but it's just at any point along that way, they could have messed up, right? It's why, like Eric Tulsky, we're going to bring it back to the Canes, bring it back to someone, trading Mikko Rantanen away, not for, this is the second one, and bringing back 2 firsts, 2 thirds, and Logan Stankoven, those moves are always a flex by a GM. Because you're saying, take this proven player who would be a nice rental for us and would potentially give us more scoring pop in the postseason. Even if he doesn't want to be here, we could ride that out for a year and do our best to convince him. No, take that and give me these magic beans, and I will know exactly what to do with these magic beans to get the value. Because, for every Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett to the Nets for all those picks, and it turns into Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. For the Paul George goes to the Clippers, and all those picks and players turn into SGA and Jalen Williams. For all of those, there's a RG3. The pick gets traded from the Rams to Washington, and they draft 8 players with the picks they got. None of them turn into anything, and you basically just gave up the second pick. Rookie of the year, injuries derailed it, but it didn't really work out for either of you. Right? You can get a mountain of picks and pick the wrong guys, and then the other team ends up winning, right? It's risk versus proven. So, Paul George, coming from a Sixers fan, for a while there he was pretty good. Not on the Sixers, but for a while there he was pretty good, and he was worthy of all of that. Every time you make a trade where it's $1 billion picks for a player, you're going to be nervous for the next 10 years. Because what if that mid-round first turns into Giannis? And now somebody's doing math 10 years later, and it's like, you traded, Mikal Bridges for 5 first-round picks. Most of those first-round picks was nothing, but one of them turned into the next 6-time MVP, and it looks like you traded Mikal Bridges for a 6-time MVP. You really didn't. You traded for magic beans, and they just did well with it. With that being said, yeah, they did kind of both build their NBA championship teams around Paul George, which is kind of cool. Let's quit that. Let's hit this.
Got him!
Nice one.
All right. So this was not my favorite story, but just maybe a cautionary tale for people. There was a track event. I'm not sure exactly what the circuit is for this, but basically what happened was a heckler was at this track event heckling Olympic gold medalist Gabby Thomas. And he was bragging on X, formerly known as Twitter, posting his parlay stuff. He's like, "Oh, I heckled Gabby Thomas, it made my parlay win. And FanDuel came out. They said they banned the guy.
All right, so I'll
threatening and harassing athletes is bad. I mean, it's at what level are we as people like? You got to be human enough to not do that, right? I understand like wanting your picks to win, but how do we allow people to cross the line? Hopefully, this person is banned from all those events. But
so here's the nuts and bolts of it. Guy bets against a track athlete. You're gonna lose. Then goes to the track event, the Grand Slam track event in Philly, and dedicates his entire day to following her around and yelling what have been described as reprehensible comments at that athlete with the idea of throwing her off her game and then winning the bet because I don't even want to say because of that, but they win the bet and going on social media taking a victory lap saying like I caused it. I have two thoughts here, and I'll try to get to them quickly. One, this guy's a loser. Okay, it's kind of good to know, right? Identify yourself as a loser so we know you're a loser. Two, I don't think he caused anything, right? Gabby Thomas, she finished 4th and 2nd in her two races. She's she's a beast. Don't get me wrong; she's a star from the Olympics. But she also said at this point in the season, it's the fastest she's run. So you bet against her because it made sense to bet against her. Then you went and did all these theatrics, and it ended up kind of falling in your favor, and you're taking a victory lap. I don't think it had anything to do with it. And I think track should not ban him. And here's why. They're trying to build their sport, and no eyeballs are bad eyeballs, and I think Gabby Thomas is more than tough enough to handle a heckler, right? There's nothing that says it actually impacted, unless, by the way, I need to take a step back. There are certain lines you can't cross, and if they do, threats, anything of a too personal nature, family involved, whatever, yeah, then you get ejected, and that's just how it is. But like if it's just natural heckling, I don't know. I think, and Gabby Thomas being a good enough, strong enough athlete to go win, I think that's kind of the way to do it, right? Like, she needs to show up next and write on her shoes, bet against me, and go win. Like that's the way that you build all of this up. But again, I do want to be clear. There are certain lines you can't cross yelling at athletes, and if those lines were crossed, we don't know. Reprehensible is all we know. If they did cross certain, magic words were said, then that guy's gone.
You do worry though, something like at a golf tournament, right? Like, what's to stop someone who has a massive bet from just like screaming in someone's backswing or something? Like, we can't let this get out of control, right? And it's kind of amazing, and I notice this when I'm at like golf tournaments too. Like, people just kind of follow the rules, and it's you get a little bit of your faith back in people. You're like, people could just be running all over and running on the green and screaming while people are shooting, but they're not. So
and golf tournaments, at least the ones I've been to, they're not cheap, and you don't want to get ejected. And you do get ejected if you do that kind of stuff. I guess you could worry about like somebody running onto the green, grabbing the ball and taking off, but then the rules are you just put it back as close as you can to the spot. Like, there's the gambling thing to me is there's a couple bad apples, but they rarely pop up. It's a good point though. If you bet against somebody because you can bet hole by hole now. Like, if you bet to get a bogey on this hole, and then you just stand there and
he's lining up.
You will not make this putt. You like Happy Gilmore? Man. Business idea? Did we just don't? No, I'm kidding.
No, nobody take that as advice.
This is like when during Prohibition, they would give like grape juice, and on the label it would say, "Absolutely do not turn this into wine. Do not put it in this container for this long and let it ferment for this many days and do this. Do not do it. Absolutely not." That's us right now going like, do not do this. You would be a jerk. But if I was to do it, I would use this specific instruction. So don't do it. Don't say we told you to. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. That's Hit It and Quit It. When we come back, the ESPN.com linked the Carolina Panthers to one of the biggest possible trade targets on the market. Is it plausible? Should they do it? Stick around.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update. The night session is in full swing. 6th-seeded Novak Djokovic and 3rd-seeded Alexander Zverev are battling it out in a blockbuster quarterfinal match at Court Philippe Chatrier. Earlier, world number 1 Jannik Sinner barely had to break a sweat, advancing with a straight-set victory over unseeded Russian Alexander Bublik.
Obviously very happy to be again in the semis here. Is a very special place for me. Felt like today I was very consistent from the back of the court, and I think that paid off a lot throughout the whole match, and I'm very happy.
Sinner still seeking his first major title on the Paris clay after losing a 5-set thriller to Carlos Alcaraz in the semifinal last year. As for the women, 2nd-seeded Coco Gauff knocked out fellow American Madison Keys to play unseeded Frenchwoman Lois Boisson, who upset Mira Andreeva in straight sets. With this tennis update, I'm Erica Herskowitz, Westwood One Sports.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Triple play, triple play, triple play. 3 ways to win on every scratch-off. They're like a 3-man wrecking crew of winning potential smashing into your bare hands. Triple threats of cold, hard cash. Prizes up to $1 million. 3 times the play, 3 times the thrills, and 3 ways to win. Triple play from the North Carolina Education Lottery with triple action-packed chances to win.
Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.84 to 4.79. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
A pepperoni pizza for the table. May I suggest trying it with our Pepsi Zero Sugar? It has just the right amount of sweetness to complement all that cheesy, saucy goodness. Simply divine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar? You've really outdone yourself this time.
Pizza deserves Pepsi.
Handy Hugo's has a refreshing deal. 2 1-liter Pepsis for just $3. Quench your thirst at Handy Hugo's today.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's, and My Lowe's Pro Rewards members can save even more with limited time deals. Right now, buy one, get one half off select HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams Primer and Ceiling Paint. Plus, get free same-day delivery to your job site when you order by 2 p.m. Offer valid through 6/13, delivery by 8 p.m., subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. Cancer screening tests can help keep the person you love around longer by detecting changes before cancer develops, or catch it early when it may be easier to treat. And many tests are available for free or covered by insurance. It's time to sound like a broken record. Tell all your friends and family, I love you. Get screened. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
Young is under center. Here's the snap. Sanders up the middle, charging through the end zone. Touchdown, Carolina. The Panthers walk it off to end the season.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. So I'm on ESPN.com earlier today. You know, it's like my morning newspaper, right? I'm searching through all the sports websites and seeing what everybody's talking about. And I see an article on ESPN.com about Jalen Ramsey and the trade market. Jalen Ramsey kind of recently signed a big money deal with the Dolphins, and reportedly there's already kind of an agreement that they're both kind of looking for ways out. So the article goes through what different teams could and may offer, and I'm kind of just, to be real with you, I'm just scrolling through out of curiosity. right? I'm in the arts and leisure section, right? I wasn't there expecting to see the Panthers, but not only do I see the Panthers as one of the teams being mentioned, at the end of the article, they say the Panthers offer is the one that they would choose. Ben Solak of ESPN thinks a fourth rounder from the Panthers would get it done. Just here's a fourth.
What?
Here's a fourth. Jalen Ramsey coming in the other direction. Well, okay, we got to talk about that. Now, I am, and I've been, against bringing in the aging veterans to a team that has a really nice young core that is I expect to develop a bit over the next few years. And then once you get to a certain point, you can start adding in the final pieces of veterans if you so choose. I've been against that. But you have to entertain a player like Jalen Ramsey if it's a possibility. Right? That's where the whole GMs answer every phone call thing comes in, right? I'm not saying you initiate the conversations, but if that ends up being a possibility, you have to pull on the string. There's an exception to every rule. Maybe I shouldn't speak in absolutes as much about older players, but I'm talking about it if it only takes a fourth. I'm talking about it. Pat Jones, who is one of the new Panthers, defensive end, who, by the way, you can actually see in the new trailer for Madden. Pat Jones made it. How about that? And Derek Brown. But Pat Jones talked about the defense coming together as a unit.
We just trying to get everything together right now. I think the big thing that you can see from everybody, like when y'all watching the end of practice, we having fun. And I feel like just everybody coming together as a unit, I feel like that's going to be big time.
All right, so the defense is gelling, but there is, let's be real. There is a hole in the secondary. We talked with Dan Morgan, the GM, on this program not long ago, and I asked him about the free safety position, and he kind of hinted that Merrick, their big money free agent safety, could play free safety, which I guess is an evaluation thing. But let's not make any mistakes. What he's been special at in his NFL career thus far is strong safety. And you could say the same about Latham Ransom, the mid-round pick safety that they drafted, another guy that brings a bit of physicality, probably not that center fielder you're talking about. And then you add on that as awesome as J.C. Horn is at one corner, Michael Jackson, some of the advanced analytics, didn't love him at the other corner last year, even though they brought him back on a 2-year, I think it's a $14 million deal. So Jalen Ramsey, position of need potential. Let's look at the pros and the cons. Do you want pros or cons first, Max?
Well, let's start with the bad news. Start with the cons and then go to the pros.
The cons is he's 30. The cons, he's older. You don't start getting better in the secondary at 30, at least very rarely. He's not who he once was. So if you're drafting him, expecting him to be first-team All-Pro corner, that's not what he is. The other, he is expensive. I just mentioned the big money deal he signed with the Dolphins. The Dolphins seem to get in that habit where they give money to players and then pretty quickly want to trade them. That's, to me, the negatives. He's a bit older than you'd like, and he's a bit more expensive than you'd like. But let's be real, those are two pretty big. Like when you're weighing pros and cons, it's not just the number of pros and cons on each end of the scale. Certain cons are going to weigh more, right? It's what are they made out of? How dense are they? Those are two pretty dense cons. The pros, I actually think the Panthers' needs line up with his skill set really well. And what I mean by that is they have a need at both corner and safety, as I discussed, which could allow him to age gracefully, right? The bigger corners that when they're young and at the peak of their athleticism are lockdown corners, we've seen them transition into really, really good safeties later in their career and extend their impact window a decent amount that way. So if Jalen Ramsey couldn't hack it, and let's be real, that's a bad way to put it, but if he's not as effective at corner as he used to be, put him at free safety next to Trayvon Merrick, and all of a sudden now you have a really impact safety unit. I do think he brings another pro. I think he brings swagger and an edge that the Panthers can use, an identity on defense. Derek Brown, great player. J.C. Horn, great player. I'm not sure they are the personalities, although J.C. Horn is getting there. He's becoming more vocal. But like, you talk about Pat Jones saying, oh, we're having fun. Jalen Ramsey looks like he has a good time. The other is you need someone opposite of J.C. Horn because they're going to be tested a ton. If you want J.C. Horn to be effective, you're going to need somebody on the other side that at least make teams think about throwing it to J.C. Horn. Because right now, if I'm a quarterback, I'm finding J.C. Horn and I'm throwing to the opposite side. That's just what I like. There are certain players on certain defenses where it's just, all right, he's over there, he's on the left, I'm going right. If it's my number 2 wide receiver against Michael Jackson, I like that better than anybody against J.C. Horn, which is a credit to J.C. Horn, but also that doesn't help your offense or your defense that much if I can just neutralize your highest paid, best player in the secondary by not throwing there. You put Jalen Ramsey on the other side, I'm going to have to consider it. And then the last point here is a 4th rounder is nothing.
NFL trade value is, I mean, I get that his contract is sizable.
You'd have to take on the cap hit.
NFL trade values, I mean, what, Christian McCaffrey, the Panthers traded him for like a second, a third, and a fourth. Like, he doesn't even get a first-round pick. But I mean, that doesn't seem like too hefty of a price tag, especially for a team that was last in basically every defensive metric last year. So
and we've seen the Panthers recoup picks. We've seen them be like, oh, geez, they gave up everything to go get Bryce. And then the Brian Burns trade, they trade back. They trade back in the second round last year to get to replenish their picks. You know, you give up your 4th now, you trade back in the second round next year, all of a sudden you got your 4th plus back. And it's I don't know if I pull the trigger, but man, it's tempting. If a 4th gets it done, like ESPN.com predicts, I might make that call, even though it goes against so much of my like timeline and window theory. I think he's that kind of player. He's that, and his experience and the lessons he could pass along. You get Jalen Ramsey opposite J.C. Horn, or you get Jalen Ramsey in the secondary and the safety alongside Merrick. All of a sudden you turn a weakness into at least a mediocre strength. That's a different beast there. But I would look into it. Obviously, you got to get your scouts involved and all that. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We have the starting 5 coming up next, including the win total for the Panthers. You taking the over or under on 7.5? Stick around.
Dennis Cox here, my friends, over at Loan Pronto. Folks, are you maxed out on your credit cards? Maybe you're struggling with high-interest debt. You can have it all paid off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Get cash out now without even touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off their debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a massive turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781 on approved credit. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Evan, Kenty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Tibbs put a solid foundation in place for this New York Knicks franchise. He's the bridge coach. It doesn't feel right just because of how far he's taken this franchise and how close they got to making an NBA Finals appearance. But I'm not going to dismiss the possibility that New York could be making the right decision.
Unsportsmanlike.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Need CPAP supplies fast? I'm Brandon Giggling, president of Parkway Sleep Health Centers, and we are the Triangle's top sleep provider, offering quick access to the equipment you need for better sleep. Get the right supplies right when you need them. With over 20 years of experience, our expert team is here to help you sleep better, sooner.
Discover why so many trust Parkway Sleep Health Centers for better sleep. Visit parkwaysleep.com now and start your journey to a healthier night's sleep. Parkway Sleep Health Centers. Sound sleep. Sound health.
Green flag at Michigan International Speedway.
It's madness in Motor City as NASCAR in Prime heads to Michigan International Speedway. 200 miles per hour feels even faster than it sounds. These white-knuckle, three-wide thrills bring us one of the fastest tracks in the Cup Series. So strap in and stream Michigan Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. NASCAR, it's on Prime.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-777-1225. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-777-1225. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-777-1225. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-777-1225 or biglou.com.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Injury Lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
Get in the hole!
That's ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WRAL meteorologist Mike Mays. We have rain on the way. It will develop later this evening and especially overnight. 68 the low. We're going to go about 100% chance of rain tomorrow with our WRAL weather alert day. Rain is likely, perhaps some storms. Low-end risk for flooding, the high 75.
Weather report brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 5 o'clock check of your money at the closing bell. Dow Jones down 91 points to 42,427. This hour of the drive also brought to you by Lionsgate. Lionsgate's ballerina follows Ana de Armas as Eve Macaro, a young assassin trained by the Ruska Roma. Set between the events of John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum and Chapter 4 with a hauntingly elegant edge in theaters Friday, June 6th.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting five.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time for the starting five. And as always, we start with number 5.
Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The Panthers win total. I've been on a couple different shows in the last few days, and it's come up multiple times in different conversations already, which is good. By the way, we are 50 days until training camp for the Carolina Panthers. 50. So it's good that these conversations are happening now where there's plenty of time. About what are appropriate expectations for the Carolina Panthers. Right? There's been a small subset, and I say small because I understand that the minority group is usually the loudest, right? The smallest section of people are usually the loudest, and the silent majority is traditionally, who's carrying most of the weight. But there's a small group that thinks a 10 or 11 win season is coming for the Panthers. Now, the hard part is I sound like not optimistic by going, no. I hope it happens. I do. I hope it does. I hope they shock the world and win 14. But I don't believe that's where you should start, right? Be pleasantly surprised. So I went across a bunch of different sports books looking for the win totals. Seems like 7.5 is kind of where everybody's settled. 7.5. Over, under, roughly 7.5 games. Slightly different payouts at different books. Some would say 6.5, but then you're getting, significantly minus money to take the over. Listen, this is why appropriate expectations are important. That's not an insult. That's a compliment. 2 years ago, 2 wins. Gets a coach fired in historic fashion, right? Real quick. Frank Reich in, Frank Reich out. Canales takes over. They win 5. 7.5, that's a natural step. 8 wins, this is what I want everybody to hear. 8 wins would be the most wins by the Carolina Panthers since they won 11 in 2017. 2.5 years before Ron Rivera was fired. So if you're disappointed if they don't win 11, you're just setting yourself up for failure. I think 8, that's what you root for. 8 and, right, because I'm big on mini goals, right? Main goal, 8 wins. Just like going into any game, the goal is to win the game. But then there's also to win the game, and I don't want to have any turnovers. To win the game, and I want good decision-making from my quarterback. Win the game, and I don't want to give up any big plays on defense. The mini goals, the side quests. Win the game and have flashes from the players that you want to build around. Bryce Young looks like second half of the year last year, Bryce Young. Teteroa McMillan makes some plays that show he might be a number 1 wide receiver for the next 12 years. Dave Canales right here talks about what's impressed him about Teteroa McMillan.
I think it's just his consistent ability to win at the top of the route. He uses his hands well. He's got great body control for having that kind of frame and size. A lot of times guys do struggle, with people in their space. And for a 6'4" guy to be able to control his body, and then he comes back to the ball. So he's such a friendly target because he attacks it. Whenever it's thrown to him, you'll see him come back towards the ball versus just receiving it, if you will. So those are some of the things that I'm excited about, just continuing to see from him.
Show me. Right? 8 wins, because not every 8-win season's built the same, right? Obviously, I'd be willing to change expectations if they start 7-2. I don't think they're going to. Every win's not built the same. If they're winning games because the opposing teams are giving it to them, I'm not going to be as excited. But 8 wins, real solid wins, and a few side quests achieved, that's a good season for the Panthers.
I'd be freaking thrilled to see them win 8 games this year.
And now with 50 games before training camp, if we agree on 8 wins is a nice little, like end goal, we can start setting up the side quests that we actually want to see. We can start building expectations for different position groups. And with 50 games before training camp, we can have a lot of fun if we can all agree that we don't have to argue about whether an 11-win season would be a disappointment. As insane as it is to say that out loud. That's number 5. Let's hit number 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, all together.
3rd and 7 for Klubnik at the Texas 22. He drifts, he throws, it's complete inside the 10, 5, touchdown, Antonio Williams on a crossing pattern. It's Williams for the first score of the game, and Clemson strikes first.
So earlier this week, finally, the lawyers are going to stop getting paid. The lawsuits between the ACC and Florida State and the ACC and Clemson, which were taking place, I'm going to conservatively exaggerate. I think they were taking place in 37 different states. They had every court tied up, just billable hours left and right. But earlier this week, officially done, right? Settled, I guess, or withdrawn? I don't know. The cases are no longer active. I'm not a lawyer. And I haven't even finished watching Suits, so I'm really not good at this. It's done, officially now. No more active lawsuits. I hate to say it, but I think Clemson and Florida State won. I actually think the ACC should have stood on business a little bit more, but I think they got bullied. By all accounts, the grant of rights that the ACC had signed was airtight. Florida State, Clemson could not find the loophole. But what Florida State and Clemson appear to have done is just threatened endless litigation, endless court costs, and whether they were right or wrong, they were just going to kind of outspend the ACC, and it appears like they did. The ACC spent a bunch of money on lawyers and court fees, and they didn't want to keep doing it, so they kind of settled. And you may be saying, but Florida State and Clemson are still in the ACC. How did they win? They wanted out. I don't know if they wanted out yet. I know they want out, but I don't know if they wanted out immediately. What they wanted was a number, meaning they want to know exactly how much they had to raise in order to get out, and they didn't want to have to stay until 2036. I think some Florida State people wanted out right now, but I think the smarter Florida State people were saying, I don't know if we have anywhere to go yet. I don't know if the SEC wants us right now. I don't know if the Big Ten wants us right now, but they want to have the option, and it appears like they got the option. There's, you know, I'm trying to, if you're raising money like in high school for new uniforms or something, or if you're raising money in high school for a charity of some kind, or you're trying to build a new gym, what do? What is that? Or at least what my schools always did. You put the thermometer on the bulletin board right by the front door, and every time you raise a little bit of money, you fill it in a little, you get the magic marker out and you fill it out a little bit more until you get to the top. And the reason why you do that is because the closer you get to the finish line, the more people are inclined to give. Florida State and Clemson didn't even know how much they had to raise. They go to their boosters and say, we're going to go to the SEC, and they'd go, all right, how much money you need? Ooh, as much as you can give. No, pocket, right? Instead, now it's, all right, we need, and I don't know what the number is. We'll find out over time, I assume, as Freedom of Information Act requests and everything go in. We need $190 million. I can't do much. I can give you one. All right, I'm getting one from him. Now I need one from you. And as that thermometer fills up, it'll get easier and easier. I would be very nervous if I'm the ACC for the future of what these teams do now that they know the obstacle course in front of them. That's number 4. Let's hit number 3.
All the way around to Perry. Skates to stick. Here's McDavid. Working past Eichel. McDavid. Oh, Draisaitl. Scores! McDavid and Draisaitl combine for the game winner.
Stanley Cup Finals. Stanley Cup Final Game 1. Tonight at 8. Edmonton minus 120. Money line. Are you somebody, Matt, by the way, producer Max producing the show, Max Gorin, sitting in for Dennis here today, pinch hitting. Are you somebody that, like, if say you were on the Canes, are you watching the Stanley Cup Final?
I mean, I really like hockey, so I probably would.
That's fair.
But I've never played at that kind of level and kind of been so close to getting there and then falling short, and I don't know how I would feel about wanting to watch. I mean, I'd probably still be inclined just to see what the most successful teams are doing that got them there, and maybe kind of half studying it, half casually watching it, just to kind of take it all in.
I don't even believe when athletes say they don't. I think some want to paint that picture like, oh, they don't live rent free in my mind. I didn't even watch. I was on a beach somewhere. I think at the very least, they're updating their phone constantly during the game. Like, I'm not even going to watch. And then they watch like the little dots move across the live stats on every shot attempt. And I think that's kind of appropriate, right? Like, if you work as hard as you should to win a Stanley Cup, you understand how important a Stanley Cup is. You understand how important that championship is, and you want to watch because you understand, right? Like, it can be mad. It can be motivational. You can be angry while you're watching it. You can be frustrated. You can be yelling about what the Oilers aren't doing to attack the Panthers because you know how to attack them because you just played 5 games against them. You can do it all, but it stings and you watch. And I think at times you're watching and you don't know why you're watching because you're mad and you're frustrated and you're angry and you're not fun to watch with and but you make yourself do it anyway. It's a weird glutton for punishment. If we are looking at this series, it's hard. Like, as much as I think the Canes overperformed and I like their roster, it's really hard to argue that these two teams aren't super duper deserving of being there, right? The NHL doesn't always find the two best teams in the Stanley Cup final, right? A lot of times you get a hot goaltender or you get a team that just gets bad puck luck for 2 or 3 games in a row, and suddenly you have, the third or fourth best team in the East, and I'm talking about quality, not record, in the finals. So looking at the Panthers, looking at the Oilers, they're back there for the second straight year. Both of them have been in the conference finals a bunch of times. They've weathered some stuff. They've improved even when they're good, so they've strengthened some strengths. I think this is going to be a really fun, just from an observer standpoint, matchup series. We talked about it earlier. I think the Oilers are going to win. Max, are you going to go to Canada to celebrate, just to be a part of it?
I don't know if I go that far.
I mean, I'm obviously USA, as so many of us are, but that celebration is going to be bananas. Absolutely ridiculous. What number was that, Max? Was that number 3? Let's get to number 2.
Just the two of us.
Halliburton. He'll take it. He'll backpedal a 3 for the win. And he got it!
Tom Thibodeau fired by the Knicks. Now, the reason we're going to relate it back to a local team, so we're not just doing a Knicks segment. This is hard for a lot of people to wrap their brains around. That a coach can take a historically moribund franchise. Like, the Knicks have not been good for a while until Thibodeau took over. At times, they've been a complete laughingstock. Thibodeau took over. Obviously, the Jalen Brunson move was a franchise changer. They've made some good decisions. And they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they win games in the Eastern Conference Finals, and immediately after they're eliminated, they fire their coach in Tom Thibodeau. And that's the simple version, right? The more complicated version is they fire their coach without really acknowledging that as good as Jalen Brunson is, he is a super undersized guard, and that's sometimes a liability on defense. And as good as Karl Anthony Towns is on defense, he is at times a liability. And as good as Mikal Bridges is at times on offense, he is a liability. And as good as Josh Hart is, he is a 6'4" that essentially plays some weird power forward hybrid position. Like there's flaws on the roster. And they made it within 2 games of the finals. And he gets fired. Even if you can wrap your brain around it, and you can understand that Tom Thibodeau needs to eat his part of the blame pie and say he does play his starters too much, and he did make some weird rotation decisions, and, they may have tired out by that point in the postseason. And maybe they only beat the Celtics because the Celtics were collapsed. Like, you can do all of that if you want. The issue I have with it is it further perpetuates this Ricky Bobby, if you're not first, you're last thinking, which I don't want to necessarily argue against, because when I argue against that, I hear a lot of people telling me that, I must have been raised by the participation trophy era, and I am not that. I do not believe in moral victories, only real victories. I do not believe you should get a trophy for finishing in 7th. I'm with you. Okay? I'm with you. But I also acknowledge that on your way to winning the championship, it's not always linear. And if it is linear, you definitely want to stay in that line. Like, the Knicks have been getting better the last few years, and I don't like the message it sends because it encourages teams to act recklessly. It encourages teams to completely punt on the future for the now. It encourages teams to do what the Suns have done. It encourages teams to get themselves caught up chasing a super team and getting the best players, the best right now, regardless of what their window looks like, because if we don't win this year, even if we make it as far as the Eastern Conference Finals and win games in the Eastern Conference Finals, even if we lose then, I'm still getting fired. So the only way I get job security is by winning the entire championship. Then I have to be so stupidly all in. Like, unbelievably all in. Right? I've bring it back to the Canes. I have called for more all-in moves from the Canes. I liked the Gensel move. I liked the first Mikko move. These quote-unquote rentals that you hope to become a long-term, but if not, you're all in for this year. I like those moves to an extent, right? I still think it's nice to know, all right, we're making this rental move. We're going all in for this year. If it doesn't work out, we have a bunch of prospects that we're excited to bring up. If it doesn't work out, we still have first-round picks that we can lean on. If it doesn't work out, we still have Aho and Jarvis and Slavin and all of these guys on these super reasonable long-term contracts that are only going to look better and better and better when the cap goes up. Like, it's nice to have that. But if you are running the team, coach, GM, whoever, and you're of the belief that if you don't win this year, your job is gone, then you're trading away prospects. You're using like a contract that is super team friendly for a long time as reasons to get more back and win now in a trade. And I'm using the Canes just because they're the team that most recently kind of went for it with our local ties. But like if you told, I'll use the Carolina Panthers. If you told Dan Morgan and Dave Canales they have to win a Super Bowl in one of the next 2 years or they're fired, even if they're building up the Panthers nicely from moribund franchise to respectable and then hopefully beyond, if you tell them they have to win a Super Bowl in the next year or two, they're not going to make smart, good decisions for the Panthers. They're going to make reckless, risky, win-now decisions. They're going to trade J.C. Horn for 2 37-year-old starters, hopefully they're gonna trade every first-round pick that's not bolted down. They're like anything that's not tied down, they're trading to get right now winners, and that's not a good thing for your franchise. And in the NBA, there's like 10 teams a year that are in that exact position. And I guess the Knicks were there. And maybe that's why they were trading Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo and taking those chances to bring in Karl Anthony Towns, because they knew not only did they have to win, they had to win the whole darn thing to keep their job. Not a healthy way to run a league. Not a healthy way to run a team. And if most of the league is being run that way, it's not a healthy way to have a league. There's going to be like 4 teams. Their coaches have already won multiple championships, and they're going to be able to run laps around everybody else and just build their team up the right way. I think the Thunder are about to get there, by the way. I think the Thunder are going to win this year, and then everybody there is going to stick around for 2 or 3 more years at least, and then all those picks are going to start coming to roost, and it's –
They could be built for a long time. And hey, it's not often you see a championship series where one side is like minus 700.
And like what Caruso is their, I don't even know if you call him a contributor, but he's their oldest like rotational player, and he's what, 30? And they have, if they want to move on from him, they have 37 first-round picks to replace him. Maybe Thibodeau got out at the right time. By the way, don't feel bad for Thibodeau. I think I saw he's getting like $30 million to walk away. I mean, it's a bummer to get fired, but that's got to soften the blow a little bit. That's number 2. Let's hit number 1. The 1! So Inside Carolina is reporting that the UNC Tar Heels men's basketball team, the roster for this upcoming year, costs $14 million. Actually, let me correct myself. Over $14 million. All right. Now we can talk about whether the roster looks like it's worth $14 million, because that happens again, to speak of the NBA. Every once in a while, there's a team that's in like the second salary luxury cap, or whatever they call them, level.
The apron.
The apron. I was going to call it. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. They're in like the second apron, and I'm like, where? How? Who's getting all of this money? And then you learn, Timothy Mozgov's on the hook for like $40 million. All right, well that's gonna hurt you. I don't necessarily see $14 million worth of value, but I don't know the market. Okay, I don't know how much Henry Vesar is worth on the open market. I don't know. So let's say they didn't get taken by agents, NIL agents, and their roster's worth $14 million. With great money comes great responsibility, and what I mean by that is if you are a coach in the college sports world and your team, your school, your NIL collective, your supporters rally the troops, right? They pass the hat to give you a near top of the country budget. And you don't win, or you don't win a conference championship, or you aren't a contender, or you're not in the top, whatever the expectations are for your program, that's kind of a fireable offense. There is job security in lack of ambition might be the term. Like if you are a great coach and you're at a mid-major and you make a run every 7 years and the other years it's kind of tough, but you're the best coach in that program's history, there's job security, right? Hey, remember that run I had 6 years ago? I'm going to dine off that for the rest of my life. There, and you can stay there. Even when Texas or UNC or one of these big cash people come up and want to hire you away, you can go, no, I'm good here. Right? Pressure's not as high. I don't have as many resources, which explains why I don't have to win as often. Once you're at Carolina, like Hubert Davis is, and I'm not advocating for or against Hubert. I like Hubert. I think he's a nice guy. I think he's a good basketball coach. He's always been nice to me. But I am saying when you're at Carolina and you have a top-of-the-country budget, which Jeff Goodman, the Field of 68, after hearing the report from Inside Carolina, he hypothesized his kind of estimate was that puts Carolina in the top 5 roster budgets in the country, perhaps as high as 2. If you have that, and you're at a school like Carolina that has all the name recognition you could possibly want, like every recruit is picking up your phone, and you have Jordan Brand, and you have all of the resources that come with your alumni network and everything else, if you're not going to win now, when is it going to be? And you could, it's different than what I was talking about with the Panthers or these other sports where you have to build up, because in college basketball, everybody's on a 1-year contract. We've seen teams completely rebuild in a year and go win if you have the money. Louisville, look what they did in a year. If you have the money. With great money comes great responsibility, also comes great stakes, right? If I give you all the cash in the world and you don't come back with something of value, I'm not giving you the cash again. I'll give it to someone else and see if they can do better with it. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we move on, Tim Donnelly here for Maynard Service Company. Heating, cooling, plumbing, electric. Call it a like a do-it-all player, right? It is a complete player. We talk about two-way hockey players a lot. You got to be able to play on the attack, score goals. Got to be able to get back check and help your blue line out. You got to be able to play special teams, penalty kill. You got to be on the power play. You got to do it all. Maynard Service Company does it all. Whether it's heating, right? Attacking it in the cold when everybody wants to stay warm. Get there. Cooling when it's hot. You want to come inside and feel that refreshing breeze. Plumbing, I mean, that's the ultimate. You don't know what you got till it's broken. You take it for granted. And electric, same thing, right? You just need these things. You got to be able to do it all. Maynard Service Company can. They are a true two-way, what do they call, 5-tool baseball player. They're a 4, 5, 6, 10-tool service company. Maynard Service Company. Give them a call, 919-361-0993. That's 919-361-0993. Or you can visit them online at maynardservices.com. That's MAYNOR services.com. We also need some numbers game contestants. A lot to get to here. Numbers game, the prize for today is a free race at Rush Hour Karting. We were talking about it in the office today. It's a good time. I'm telling you, got to check it out. And you can get your free race if you win the numbers game. The number to call, 919-860-5326. That's 919-860-5326 for your chance to play the numbers game, perhaps win a free race at Rush Hour Karting. Call in now. We need 2 contestants. Numbers game next.
Champions are crowned on 99.9 The Fan.
It's 3 consecutive Eastern Conference championships for the Florida Panthers.
Hockey tonight. Florida, Edmonton in the Stanley Cup Final. Game 1.
McDavid scores!
Puck drop at 8.
Nico Mikkola gets the cash and Florida's off and running.
On your audio home for the Stanley Cup Final. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon, you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell Groom's Cake Ice Cream is renewing its vows on the frozen aisle. Milk chocolate ice cream with chocolate cake pieces, chocolate-coated strawberry hearts, swirls of strawberry sauce, and chocolate icing. See you at the reception.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream, now available at Wegmans.
Let's move! We have soccer practice, dance, and a play date.
Life moves fast, so every second counts, especially when it comes to big decisions like buying a car. That's why searching through Navy Federal's car buying service powered by TrueCar is a perfect place to start.
Thanks, Mom.
Navy Federal can help you find and finance the right vehicle so you can go wherever life takes you. Visit NavyFederal.org/TrueCar to learn more. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA. Credit and collateral subject to approval.
Hey, friends. Paul Ihander from 99.9 The Fan for FanDuel. FanDuel is the best place to find all your favorite player props for the NBA Finals this week. And now you can make the smarter play with new performance trends. Want to check a player's consistency during the playoffs? Or maybe they've been flirting with potential triple-doubles. Get the latest stats right inside your app and see who's heating up. And after the tip-off, combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. If you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late to get in on the action. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/Paul and join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 plus and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes Dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned, Cajun-fried, whole breast tenderloin fillets. Choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles' legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Serving in the military requires great sacrifices, not just for one's country, but also for one's family. Not surprisingly, divorce for soldiers is especially difficult, and it raises a number of challenges that are peculiar to military divorce, things such as deployments, relocation, retirement benefits. These issues can be complicated. So if you're a soldier facing such challenges, go to CordellCordell.com.
Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois. CordellCordell.com.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time to play the numbers game. We have Mike in Rocky Mountain. We have Nate in Smithfield. And they will battle it out in the numbers game for a chance at a free race at Rush Hour Karting. Now, as always, I will ask each of our contestants the same question. And our producer for today will be Max, will be the judge. He'll pick his favorite answer, and that person will get to go first. Are you ready, Max?
I'm ready.
All right. Are you ready, Mike and Rocky Mount? You'll be answering first.
Let's go.
All right. The question is, right, the prize is rush hour karting, and obviously you're driving the karts. But I think we all imagine ourselves in, like, our dream car when we're doing it, right? So what is your dream car? Price, no object, any car you want. What's your dream car?
I guess I have to say a Lambo.
Any specific model or color or anything you want to give it as far as details?
It would have to be a red one. I don't know the model, so it would just be a red Lamborghini.
All right, red Lambo. Mike, we'll see if that answer gets chosen. Nate in Smithfield, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, same question to you. In honor of us all imagining in our mind's eye when we're at rush hour karting that we're in our dream car, what is your dream car? Money is no object. You can get anything you want. Which car are we getting?
Oh, man. I love the simple life. I think just riding in, like, just a Jeep on the beach, blaring some music on just getting that golden sun.
All right. Any specific model of Jeep or color? I give that option to the other contestant. I'll do the same for you.
Just a normal Wrangler. I don't know. Give me something great like bright orange or something.
All right. So we got a Wrangler on the beach listening to some music, and we got a red Lambo. Max, which one are we going with?
I'm going to go with the red Lambo.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the red Lambo. It's just a little more extravagant, dream big. I mean, I respect Nate for keeping it, keeping it simple, but, it's a dream car. You gotta reach for the stars.
If he would put a few more add-ons, those Jeeps can get up there. All right, so Mike and Rocky Mount gets to go first. Nate and Smithfield, just bide your time. You will have a chance. Sit on hold for a second. Mike, are you ready to pick a category?
Yes, sir.
All right, the categories are NFL, F is 4. These are players whose first name starts with the letter F. NFL, I'm just saying the name of these categories. NFL, they've got wood. These are all players that have wood in their name somewhere, just that combination of 4 letters. NBA, players that have hit buzzer beaters, game-winning buzzer beaters since 2020 or more recently. And NHL players, Hurricanes only.
NFL F.
All right. All players whose first names start with the letter F throughout NFL history. I will give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock. 1 pass if you need it. Any questions before we get started?
No, sir.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Franco Harris, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pass.
Fred Taylor, Jacksonville Jaguars.
27.
Incorrect. Frank Gore, San Francisco 49ers.
24.
What was that?
24.
No. Franco Harris, Pittsburgh Steelers.
63.
Incorrect. Fred Taylor, Jacksonville Jaguars.
17.
Incorrect. Frank Gore, San Francisco 49ers.
24.
You were in the right neighborhood for Fred Taylor and Frank Gore. For Franco Harris, we were looking for number 32. That's the number we were looking for there. Fred Taylor, 28. You were in the 20s, but didn't quite get it. And Frank Gore with the Niners, 21 is what we were looking for. He did play for a whole bunch of teams. He may have worn 24 at some point, but 21 with the Niners. Unfortunately, that is an offer. That is a 0. But tie does go to whoever goes first. So if we get a double offer, we're not rooting for it, but if we do get it, you will be the winner. So stay on the line. We'll see if it holds up. That brings us to Nate in Smithfield. Nate, are you there?
I am.
All right. The bar has not been set high, but you still have to go through it. The categories remaining for you to choose from are NFL, they've got wood. These are players who have wood in their name somewhere. NBA players that have hit a buzzer-beating game winner since 2020. Or NHL, Hurricanes only?
I'll go Hurricanes only, please.
All right. I will give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. I will say the team, even though we know it in this category, to keep it fair with the other contestant. You'll have 30 seconds on the clock. 1 pass if you need it. You need at least 1 for the win. Any questions before we get started?
No, sir.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Sean Walker, Carolina Hurricanes.
27.
Incorrect. Scott Morrow, Carolina Hurricanes.
Pass.
Sean Hill, Carolina Hurricanes.
17.
Incorrect. Sean Walker, Carolina Hurricanes.
14.
Incorrect. Scott Morrow, Carolina Hurricanes.
7.
Incorrect. Sean Hill, Carolina Hurricanes.
7.
Incorrect. Sean Walker, Carolina Hurricanes. Yeah, that's a double O for there. Sean Walker, we were looking for 26. Scott Morrow, we were looking for 56. 2 current Canes. Sean Hill, 22 is what we were looking for there. Unfortunately, you didn't come up with any, Nate, but hopefully you had some fun.
I did, yeah.
All right. Thank you for playing. And that means Mike and Rocky Mount, it wasn't pretty. But it's a win.
Well, it's not pretty at all. Thank you.
You get to, hopefully you're a better driver over there at Rush Hour Karting because you just got
I hope so.
You just got a free race. So stay on the line. Max has some info he needs to grab from you, but congratulations on the win.
Thank you, sir.
If that's not a bummer. That feels like you won while getting 8 innings, 1 run against Paul Skeens, but just the Pittsburgh hitters were so bad that you won anyway. Right? It's like, I guess technically it's a win, but you certainly don't feel great about it. We'll try that again tomorrow. All right, everybody. We'll play the numbers game again tomorrow. We'll have the Rush Hour Karting prize again tomorrow. Let's aim for at least getting 1 correct, shall we? The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Let's perk everybody up with some good news, a way you can make and save yourself money. Tim Donnelly here for Gordon Miller and Miller Lending. I mean, if you talk to anybody that's in the mortgage world, looking for a house, thinking about moving, man, every day it's something different, right? Rates are up, rates are down. Oh no, half point up, hey, half point down, full point down. What's going on? They're going to drop in June. No, they're not going to. They're going to drop with the election. No, they're not going to. Here's the deal. It's a volatile market, right? For a bunch of different reasons that are way above my pay grade. I just know it's a volatile market, and I know that Gordon Miller and Miller Lending and their no closing cost loan, their no cost loan, can help you navigate those waters in a way that gets you the lowest monthly payment possible. And what I mean by that is when you sign up for a no closing cost loan, when you choose a no cost loan from Miller Lending for your mortgage, no cost, no fees means no cost, no fees. No money out of your pocket, no surprise fees, no third-party fees, none of it. And that way, if your rate's a little higher than you want right now, you have that money that you can lean on, right, that you didn't spend on costs and fees that can help you with your monthly payment over time. And then, like I said, when that volatile market drops, be ready to pounce with a refinance. That, again, comes with no costs, no fees. Get the lower monthly payment and do that as many times as the market does sink a bit. It just gives you the adaptability, the flexibility to not feel like you locked in your rate right before they dropped, which is always a bummer. But it's not when you have a no closing cost loan from Miller Lending. Give them a call. The phone number is 919-447-3377. That's 919-447-3377. Or visit them online at millerlending.com. Once again, that's millerlending.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, and MLS number 250-2146. We'll take a break. When we come back. 50 days till Panthers preseason, which means we got our question of the day about the Panthers coming up.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update. A blockbuster men's quarterfinal match living up to the hype. 6-seeded Novak Djokovic and 3rd-seeded Alexander Zverev split the first 2 sets, with Djokovic taking the third as the 2 men square off for a chance to play world number 1 Jannik Sinner in Friday's semifinal. Still seeking his first major title in Paris, Sinner advanced with an easy straight-set victory over unseeded Russian Alexander Bublik. For the women, it was a quarterfinal match jam-packed with mistakes, double faulting, plenty of missed shots, but in the end, 2nd-seeded Coco Gauff battled back, winning 8 of the last 9 games to defeat fellow American Madison Keys in 3 sets. Gauff will face 22-year-old unseeded Frenchwoman Lois Poisson, whose magical run continued on day 11 with another upset, this time in straight sets against 6-seeded Mira Andreeva. The women's semifinals highlight the action Thursday. Before Gauff meets Poisson, world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka will take on defending champ Iga Swiatek on court Philippe Chatrier. With this tennis update, I'm Erica Herskowitz, Westwood One Sports.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
The DQ Sauced and Tossed Chicken Strip Baskets have more flavor than your taste buds know what to do with. We start with all white meat, breaded, seasoned, and fried to crunchy perfection. Next, we double down and toss them in honey barbecue or new buffalo sauce. Serve them up with DQ fries, Texas toast, and house-made Hidden Valley Ranch, and you've got flavor on flavor on flavor. Get the Sauced and Tossed Chicken Strip Basket in honey barbecue or new buffalo right now at DQ. Happy tastes good. Participation may vary.
A torn ACL, stress fracture, aching back, a hip that's had it, life on hold, and all you want is to get it back. Enter Wake Orthopedics. Our fellowship-trained orthopedists do it all. General, sports, pediatric, joint replacement, fractures, spine, prevention, advanced diagnostics, progressive treatments, minimally invasive procedures, surgeries, and more. Visit wakemed.org/wakeortho and get back your life.
A pepperoni pizza for the table. May I suggest trying it with our Pepsi Zero Sugar? It has just the right amount of sweetness to complement all that cheesy, saucy goodness. Simply divine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar? You've really outdone yourself this time. Pizza deserves Pepsi.
Handy Hugo's has a refreshing deal. 2 1-liter Pepsis for just $3. Quench your thirst at Handy Hugo's today.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-777-1225. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-777-1225. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-777-1225. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-777-1225 or biglou.com.
Summer sizzles with free outdoor concerts at the original Abbey Road Tavern and Grill in Cary. Every Saturday night through July, come to Abbey Road on West Chatham Street from 8 to 11 p.m., rain or shine, for live music and Saturday drink specials, including $3 Coors Light and $6 Dogfish Grateful Dead ales. The Saturday night concerts will feature some of your favorite local bands, all part of Abbey Road's 5th annual Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Get all the details on who's playing when at abbeyroadnc.com.
Move your sports day forward.
It's been a while, but the Carolina Hurricanes won't have to figure out in free agency how to spend the money, but what to spend the money for. Unlike us common folk who probably have to use coupons, General Manager Eric Tulsky will have a different challenge. He's probably going to have to pay over sticker price to build a Stanley Cup winner.
Get set up. Join Next Up with Paul Ihander. Mornings at 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
It's a tight formation. Thielen slot left. Tremble the tight end. Here's the snap. The fake to Boone. Young backpedals. Rolling to his right. He can run for it. He's got the 10. He's got the 5. Bryce into the end zone. And Carolina takes the lead. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touchdowns today for Bryce Young.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. 50 days until training camp for the Carolina Panthers. That feels like simultaneously not that long and a long time. But 50 days, we're not looking at 2 months here. We're looking at 50 days. And if you think in radio terms like I do, we don't have a show every day, right? There's weekends. There's a holiday here or there. There's days off. We're looking at like 30-something shows until we are talking about on-field, in-pads training camp for the Carolina Panthers. So a couple days ago, we started one question a day about the Panthers to make sure we've covered all of our bases as we head towards preseason and then obviously beyond. There are certain questions, and we're putting together kind of our lists. There are certain questions that I think it's important to do really early because, you'll see. Today's question is not even a question. It's like a challenge. Name, in order, the top 5 players that would upend everything if they got hurt. And the reason why I say, it's important to do it early is, doing it 50 days before training camp kind of feels like the he jinxed it crowd. There's enough time between, right? If we did this a day before training camp and somebody popped something in their knee the first day of training camp, we'd get all those arrows. So instead, we're doing this early enough so there's enough time for everything to chill before they put on pads. 5 in order that would upend everything. Because I do think, I would almost ask this, if I were an owner of an NFL team, I would go to my GM and my coach and ask this question in the offseason every year. I might even say 10, but give me the 5 names that if they get hurt, you think significantly lower our chances. Because I don't think there's a way to build a roster where you can be insulated for every injury. You can't have NFL starting caliber players as your backups at every position. So if there are certain injuries where it's just we're not prepared to handle that. And I would ask them for it. That way, if those injuries happened, I'd go, all right, because you told me ahead of time that was one of the players you couldn't afford to lose and you lost them, my expectations as far as your job evaluation and everything will be adjusted accordingly. This is how I'm going to reveal my list. The most important, and then we're going to go 5-4-3-2 because quarterback, right? Number 1 is Bryce Young. If Bryce Young gets hurt, no disrespect to Andy Dalton, your entire offseason has been built around him. Your entire franchise has been built around him. If Bryce Young gets hurt, I have a hard time blaming any coach that doesn't have a great season if your starting quarterback misses a majority of it. So, number 1, Bryce Young. Get that out of the way. Now let's go 5-4-3-2. 5 would be Derek Brown for me. We just saw it. Right? How bad was the defense last year compared to the year before? And not to say that he was the only deal, right? Brian Burns left and a few others. But, man, did you notice Derek Brown not there swallowing up run blockers and running backs? If he comes back and he's healthy, I think that's huge. If you lose him again, that is every right for at least Evero, the defensive coordinator, to go I can't. We're going to have to outscore people because our defense can't sustain that one. Number 4, I think you're going to be surprised by. 4th most kind of you really can't get hurt player, I think it's Teteroa McMillan. I think he, as far as rookies go, outside of maybe Cam Ward with Tennessee, he's one of the most depended on. You need to be out there. You need to be a difference maker. The offense is a requirement for you. Dave Canales talked about T-Mac, Teteroa McMillan, learning the offense. This is what it sounded like.
He's really taken to the coaching. First and foremost, the goal is to get him comfortable with the system, the different types of plays, different formations. We're starting to make it more challenging in terms of moving him around in different spots. He's handling it great. That gives him his best opportunity to play fast. I can tell when a guy's not comfortable because they look a little methodical out there, and so to see him be able to play fast, he looks pretty comfortable, but I know he'll probably be the first one to come up here and say, I don't feel like I have everything totally down pat, and that's the goal, is to get him to where he's completely comfortable.
His comfortability is one thing. Bryce's comfortability is another. And I with him on the field, I think Bryce always he's a safety blanket, the best kind. He makes contested catches. When he's covered, he's open. And when he's open, he's wide open. So he's really that important. Number 3, Chuba Hubbard. I think we're going to be annoyed by how much that guy gets the ball. Let Bryce throw. Let Bryce cook. We're going to be doing that a whole bunch, but they're just going to lean on him. I go back to 2 years ago when Dave Canales was the offensive coordinator of the Bucs, and Rachaad White had the second most touches in the NFL behind only Christian McCaffrey in one of Christian McCaffrey's best seasons. And Rachaad White is not as good as Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard's going to get the ball a bunch, and if he goes down, this is also partially me saying I don't love the guys they have in the depth chart at running back. Rico Dowdle, I'm indifferent on, and ETN wouldn't have been my choice at running back in the 4th round, but I do like Chuba, so he becomes really important if I don't like his backups. And then number 2, this one's simple. I think he's the most important player on the defense. It's J.C. Horn. I don't like your corners opposite J.C. Horn now. If they become the strength of your corners because J.C. Horn is out, I really don't like what's going on there. And I don't like the stress that would put on everybody else, right? Because then all of a sudden your rookie pass rushers have to get home faster because guys are open quicker. All of a sudden your safeties are more at risk because they don't have any corner that they don't need to give help to. All of a sudden your offense needs to be better because your defense is giving up more points. Like everything stems away from J.C. Horn. So to recap the question, name in order the top 5 players that would upend everything if they got hurt for the Panthers. And we're talking significant, not you miss a week. We're talking like majority of the season. 5, Derek Brown. 4, the rookie, top pick, Teteroa McMillan. 3, Chuba Hubbard, the running back. 2, J.C. Horn. And 1, and I'd be hard-pressed to find any team where I don't think number 1 is the quarterback. 1, Bryce Young. That's my list. I'm sticking to it. If you like it, I don't know, clap, celebrate. If you don't and you want to disagree, you can always find me on Twitter at Donnelly Sports. You can jump into the comments on the YouTube page, 99.9 The Fan. Search for it and subscribe while you're there.
I would have been right there with you on that, other than I might have flipped maybe Derek Brown and JC, maybe not 2 to 5, but just like in their order, just because the run defense in particular was so brutal last year. We saw what it's like without him. Like they definitely need Derek Brown back.
And do you know what's the real shame about that, right? And again, order I won't be a stickler with. If you want to throw like Robert Hunt out there, I think they could handle that, for being real, even though he's awesome. But Derek Brown and J.C. Horn, the real kicker is we've seen them both get hurt and miss large chunks of seasons recently. So need them both to buck the trend, if you will. That's about going to do it for us here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Thank you to Max stepping in for Dennis. He'll be back with us tomorrow producing the show. And personal favorite time. I just talked about YouTube. 99.9 The Fan. Search for it, subscribe, find your favorite videos, send it to the group chat, send it to your friends, comment, like, set up alerts. We'd greatly appreciate it. We're trying to build that community. Overdrive is coming up next. A little UNC basketball talk to get you started. Until tomorrow, have a great night, everybody.
Champions are crowned on 99.9 The Fan.
It's 3 consecutive Eastern Conference championships for the Florida Panthers.
Hockey tonight. Florida, Edmonton in the Stanley Cup Final, Game 1.
McDavid scores!
Puck drop at 8.
Nico Mikkola gets the cash and Florida's off and running.
On your audio home for the Stanley Cup Final, 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Green flag at Michigan International Speedway.
It's madness in Motor City as NASCAR in Prime heads to Michigan International Speedway. 200 miles per hour feels even faster than it sounds. These white-knuckle, 3-wide thrills bring us one of the fastest tracks in the Cup Series. So strap in and stream Michigan Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern.